Good morning, Unleashed Lund Loyalists. Thanks for tuning in live each weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. Remember, please like and subscribe and listen where you get your podcasts. Be on the lookout for Lund Loyalists perks by joining the club. And if you really want your comments read during the show, you can use supers and stickers. Now, as close to on time as he gets, here's Johnny.
Yes, thank you for joining us. We're in for an adventure together, not only today, but I'll explain this in just a second. Good morning. I am extremely glad that you are here on a Friday. It is January 17th. This is episode 34, as you can see in the corner. Let me fix this up. Blam, there you go, that's better. Trade Curry! Look, we're punching each other right in the face. Just right on a Friday. Trade, are you insane? So we'll get into that conversation. Brock's numbers, David Lombardi, who loves numbers, went to Stanford after all. He's got some Brock contract numbers. And speaking of shocking, George Kittle at a Nashville Predators game. You've probably seen it. Chugging a beer, NFL lines. We'll talk about the NFL playoff games this weekend, despite the fact that the 49ers obviously are nowhere near there, but I would imagine you're probably still going to watch. Interesting things going around Tom Brady with the Raiders and his commitment to Fox and all those kind of things. I'm going to play something for you where it says Giants sign right there of how difficult it is to try to project some kid who's 16 years old, since Roki Sasaki is not going to sign with the Giants. We know that. The Giants now have international signing money, and they've gone crazy. I think they signed like 15 guys, including, by the way, if I'm still around like 7-8 years from now, the number 2 international prospect, he's a shortstop, and he would be number 1 without Roki Sasaki. So truly the best amateur in the world outside of America, I guess you would say that the Giants got him, but I don't know. He's probably 16 or 17 years old. So I'll play that for you as well. The LA Roki thing, Roki Sasaki, which we're over here. But apparently, John Morosi reporting this morning that the Padres are out on Roki, so that leaves the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, and I wonder how that one's going to end up. Random stuff is stuff I don't even know what we're going to talk about, but every day we probably get into 2 or 3 things, and it's generally your fault on the chat line, because all of a sudden you start on something, then I start on something, then because what I'm doing is generally yapping away. And then I'll look over to the chat line and be like, what are they talking about? Then I'll ask, and then someone will say something, and then we'll go off on a tangent. 2 or 3 of those during the show. If you're a big sports person and you're like, are they ever going to get back to it? I do. I bring it back around. How I would compare it is you're on the road and you're on a road trip and you drive and you get off and you get some gas, and maybe there's a Subway or McDonald's there and you have something to eat and you hang out a little bit, and then you kind of get back on the roadway. That's what we do. We do a lot of those, and hopefully they're enjoyable. And then the Sweet Clean Family Friend, the Caboose pistol, which has to do with airline flying. And we all have an opinion about that. So we have a ton to get to. But before we get to all of that, I always like to welcome everybody into the show. Remember, we are live on YouTube. Please subscribe and give us a thumbs up, the likes there, which are very good. We are on Instagram as well. I'm at John Lund Radio, if you ever want to watch that way. At John Lund Radio on Twitter/X, which is where I do a lot of my responses. So we're live there. And right after the show, we hit a little button and we get the podcast up as fast as we possibly can on Apple, Spotify, and all of those places. So there is no excuse to miss any of the show. Thank you very much. We have supers and stickers. So if you absolutely want to get your question, comment, thought on the show, and I pop it up there, then you can do that as well to contribute to the show. So very much thank you. We do have I did activate, by the way, the Lund Loyalist program, and I guarantee that will be worth a measly $5 a month, because what we do is I'll release videos early, different kind of stuff. We'll do chats, specific chats with just members, all that kind of stuff. So that would be cool as well. All right, let's get to saying hello to everybody before we get started here. Tacky is in the house. Very, very nice. GSAC, Lund, it's my first. Whoa. We got to pop you right up there. Lund, it's my first show. It's great to hear you again, brada. Thank you very much for making the time, man. I love to see the community grow. Everybody knows that. So welcome to you. We appreciate it. There's my guy, Skills Report. He is always up early. Very much glad to see you. Jazz fan is here. Wes is here. Baba Booey, Baba Booey. Pine Needle, Joy, outstanding. What else do we have? Gizmo is here. Let's see. Pat, good to see you. If I don't say your name, I apologize. Greg is here today. Lost Crew 1. Very nice. You're already starting it on the Curry. Very much. Look, this is going to be controversial. But it's not just me coming up with this. It's a story that I read today. I think this guy's still with the Ringer. So we're going to get to that. I promise. Who else do I have? Sports Girl for Life. Good to see you. Pine Needle. Absolutely great. Hurley Bird. Frisco Native 415. Very good to see you as well. So again, everybody that's in the house today, I love it. Let's grow the community as we try to do this thing. And if I don't mention you right off the gate, believe me, I will get to you at some point during the show. What else do we have? People are already rolling, man. Look at AJ already in the house, man. Thank you, AJ. Get some coffee, John. Yeah. So AJ, I'm glad. I'm going to leave that up there for you because I want your money's worth. Thank you, AJ Cruz 75. Thank you. I love that you're a regular as well. So we're trying to be healthy in my house real quick. If you're new to the show, this will just take a second. So we're trying to be healthy in the house, and I've been sucking down a bunch of coffee, and I do that every day, and you probably do too. But I was bitching and moaning to my wife today about this coffee that she got a bunch of it, so we have to drink it, and it's just caramely tasting. I'm not a big caramel fan. I just like coffee. It's very difficult nowadays to just get coffee. It's like, what do you want in that? Do you want whipped cream? Do you want some kind of a syrup? I just like coffee. I'm boring that way. But I'm weird because I don't like rock gut 7-Eleven coffee, but I'm not like a coffee snob. So anyway, I'm somewhere in between. And so I had about a half a cup today. And then my wife says to me in the shower, and we had that discussion yesterday. I'm not a shower talker. I need that 5 to 7 minutes. But anyway, that's a totally different story. And she makes me this drink here. I'm going to hold this up. She makes me this smoothie, and it's got like seeds in it. I don't know if you can see that. See that thing? So I don't know. She said it's got vanilla, and we have like 18 different kind of milks in our fridge. We have like an oat milk and a this milk and a that. So I don't know what it is. Coconut milk. I don't know. Almond milk. So we got all this stuff, and I haven't tasted it. She said it's got strawberries and bananas in it, but it's like a brown color. Like when you get it, I don't know what it is. Like you go to a smoothie place or something, they make this nice, bright red, good looking smoothie. And this is like purplish brown, and it's got seeds in it. I don't know. Would you drink it? All right. She's going to get mad at me. She's probably watching. Let me see. It's not bad. I've had far worse. Yeah, it looks better. It's better tasting than it looks. Hold on. Oh. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Plus, I'm already into it for her today because she folded my laundry, and her number one thing is she hates to fold laundry. And so now I owe her. You know that feeling when you owe somebody? It's like, oh man, I owe you. It looks like Blackberry. Yeah, Joy, excuse me. Yeah, it looks like Blackberry. I feel for you, John. People are like, no, don't drink it. I don't know. I always also think of one of those things because this is popular around our house. We watch like the Datelines, the NBC Datelines, and you always we love each other and our marriage is going great as far as it has to have alcohol. You're right. I do have a bottle of Bailey's behind me, and I don't think that's going to help it. I also have whiskey up there that you can't see that anymore. I changed the background there, so believe me, I got it. But yeah, then she folded my laundry, so now I owe her for that. Don't you hate that? Like I like to have equity built up in the closet so that I can say, "Well, you owe me one." She hates folding laundry, and I walk in the laundry room today because I washed clothes, and I thought, well, I've got to grab my stuff, try to find something clean. And I look on top of the washer or on the dryer, or whatever it was, and it was all folded. And I'm like, oh no. And she was standing right there with a smirk on her face, like, yeah, you owe me. Woo! Like, oh man. Yeah, laundry does suck. It's just, nobody likes to do it. Everybody throws it in there and then it just sits there for days and days. And you're like, oh man. All right, let's get to it. Thank you, AJ Cruz. I will enjoy a coffee on you today. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Really, let's get to everything today. So right off the gate there, you see after episode 34, it says, trade Curry? Are you insane? So let me go because I don't know. I just don't think, I've said this before, I don't think Joe's going to do it, but I was reading this morning and it was rather intriguing. Let's see, that's my show cover. Don't need that. That's not intriguing. Right there. Kevin O'Connor, who I think that's the Ringer, NBA senior. Oh, that's Yahoo. Yahoo! It's not the Ringer. It used to be the Ringer, I believe. But he says right there, the Warriors are middling, boring, and Steph Curry is practically waving the white flag on this season. Don't know if that's completely accurate, but okay, I get it. You're trying, you got to get clicks. I get it. He says there is a responsibility on keeping the franchise in good shape when he leaves, blah, 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 blah. So premise obviously is here. Should Steph Curry move on from the Warriors? It's not should the Warriors move on from Steph Curry. He's saying, should Steph Curry say, you know what? I think I'm done here because we did, and we played this yesterday. Steph Curry did say, if you think I want to be on an average basketball team, you're crazy or you're insane or whatever the term he used. I think it was insane. So the article goes on and, oh, there you go. Same thing. Middling. And essentially he says this, and I know you can read, but I'll read it for you. There is responsibility on keeping the franchise in a good space and good spot, blah, blah, blah. Curry said. Then he says, nobody wants to be stale situation where you're passing up opportunities, blah, 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 blah. Let me go to this part of it. There you go. This is what he says. And I want to know if you agree with this or not. He says, this feels like Tom Brady's last season in New England all over again back in 2020. The Patriots were headed for cap hell. The roster was aging. It was clear the franchise was gearing up for a retooling phase. Brady saw the writing on the wall, left for Tampa Bay, won his 7th ring, et cetera, et cetera. Curry can't walk in free agency, signed through, et cetera, et cetera. So those are just, those are middling details, whatever. I think there's one more. I think there might have been something in here. Oh, and then this is from the Warriors' standpoint. Leaving also could be good for the Golden State's best. After all, Steph said it himself, blah, 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 responsibility. Second paragraph, maybe the Warriors luck into a top pick in the next 2 drafts, maybe a star that fit becomes available. Maybe Steph's Brady plan actually involves sticking around long enough for the team to reload for more runs. And then he says the championship window is shut. And I agree with that. I agree with that part that the window is shut. So there you go. So that is the premise. That's why I brought it up. And I did start to think to myself, this was my first thought that I had. I'd love to get your thoughts as well. But here was my first thought on it. Okay, I don't think Joe Lacob would ever do it. Now, if LeBron or something, and that's why I had the show cover being the way it was, is, they've talked about being together. I've said this before, that as I look at the Suns, the Warriors, and the Lakers, it's Kevin Durant, it's Steph Curry, and it's LeBron James. And look, whatever. Anthony Davis is a really good player, but he's in and out. Well, there's nothing wrong with Austin Reeves. There's some nice players in the Warriors as well. We talk about Kuminga at nauseum and et cetera, et cetera. And Draymond Green is still a certainly very good role player that could help a team win championships. I don't think there's any question about any of those things. But over the last few years, and I don't know why this is, you have to pick a direction as a team. Like you're either in this thing or you're not. And you know this. I'm not breaking any news to you. The worst place an organization can be is the middle. 8-8. Well, there's no longer that in football. 9-8, 8-9. That's what you don't want to be in the NFL. Where the Giants have been, it's incredibly frustrating. When in, I don't know, anywhere from 75 to 80 games, but just on the cusp of you're not getting into the playoffs. So the Giants under Farhan were this 75, 80 win team that just drove you crazy in the middle. The 49ers are either good or bad. I don't know what you feel about that, but either the 49ers, if they're healthy, they go to an NFC championship game or a Super Bowl under Kyle, or they're absolutely just implode. There's no middle ground with the 49ers. It's just either really good or really bad. That's it. So this year they get like a top 10 pick or 11th, I guess it's going to be. Maybe they can retool themselves. Kind of interesting. But the Warriors are sitting basically in purgatory where, I know they got Klay Thompson before where did they get? Was that pick like 10 or 11 back in the day? I know they got Draymond Green in the second round. There are exceptions to the rule. But in the NBA, because there are so few really, really good players coming out, it's difficult to sit where they are and do anything unless you have a top pick, whatever. So they know it as well as we know it. And I think this is the thing that is not being said and needs to be said. And it was said at the end of that article, but I think I can say it better and more succinct. He said in the bottom there, they're not in a championship window. They're not. And they're not one player away. So they do have to sit back. And as crazy as it sounds, to trade Steph Curry. And if it weren't for two things, I think they could. All these owners and GMs and all these kind of things, they say they don't pay attention to social media, which is the fans, which are a lot of times vocal minority fans who are just yelling and screaming and all these kind of things. But it's kind of like I've told you before on this show, if enough people say something to you, it's true. So if one or two people, like I use the Caboose pistol as a perfect example. Some people don't like it. One or two people will say, it's sophomoric. Are you new here? But some people will say they don't like it or it's off work or whatever the case. But if enough people say that, I'm not going to do it. But enough people, when I said, should I take it away? Enough people said, nah, I like it. It's funny. We're going to keep it. So I run this show like a democracy to a certain point. It's Friday, and I just have a shake in front of me. So how am I supposed to make my mouth work better? It's a bit of a democracy because, look, if enough people come to me with something, I'm going to change it. Well, I kind of liken that to GMs and things like that. They say that they don't care. I've told you this before. Jerry Sloan, when I was covering the Utah Jazz, told me something one time when I was interviewing, and I said something along the lines, intimated fans or intimated, the thoughts from the peanut gallery, basically. And he turned to me in a very stern look with his cigarette breath in my face and said, son, if I listen to the fans too much, I'm going to be sitting with them. So there is an element of that, but because of social media and the direct response that these guys can get, and I don't care. Players look at it, coaches look at it or hear about it. Owners absolutely care because those are the people turning the turnstiles. So if it weren't for A, social media, and B, turnstile turning. So if this was just about basketball, because I don't think enough people understand this. If this was just about basketball and rebuilding the team and you've won enough championships and you have equity and all these different things, fans will still come for a while. They would trade Steph Curry. But Joe Lacob is deathly afraid of the backlash because there's no guarantee that trading Steph Curry is going to get you anything. So the thought process is we trade Steph Curry and, man, we're on a rebuild. We're doing great. We got a bunch of picks and we're going to get a young player. Like, for example, when Oklahoma City, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander goes from the Clippers to Oklahoma City, Paul George goes from Oklahoma City to LA to the Clippers, and all of a sudden Oklahoma City doesn't skip a beat. Are you going to get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Is that maybe? Or maybe you're going to get some guy that absolutely sucks and you're going, you traded Curry for that? Then the backlash is years, right? Years and years. Like for Giants fans, Zach Wheeler wasn't even good for a long, long time. But when that trade went down, and in 2011 with Beltran, everyone freaked out. How can you give that guy away? And for years he was hurt and wasn't very good. Now, for the last number of years, Zach Wheeler's been great. But that's going to happen. But more times than not, this is, again, another sports philosophy of mine, but it is true that when you get the best player in a trade, 9 times out of 10, you win said trade. That's just how it works. You win the trade. It's great getting, hey, Bonnie, what's behind door number 3? Like, everybody always likes. Fans like it. I like it. You like it. The unknown. We love the unknown. We're always ready to roll the dice on the unknown. Oh, we traded this guy, and we got 3 first-round picks, and we got 2 young players. Man, this is exciting. Until they don't come through. Because a lot of times they just don't. So I don't care what sport you're talking about. Trades are really hard. And while conceptually trading Steph Curry or trading Draymond Green or something like that would jumpstart your team and you could start a rebuild, then yeah, okay. Conceptually, that's great. But the fans would freak out. I don't think you'd sell near as many tickets. You're not getting on TV. And these are things that owners like. They like the turnstiles turning. They like the fact that the Warriors are on Christmas Day. When you don't have Steph Curry, and I don't care if it's Kuminga. This is the discussion we've had over the last few days. I don't care if it's Kuminga or Jemski or whatever. You're going to the lottery. So you're not going to be on TV near as much, national TV. You're not going to get exposure. People aren't going to be talking about you. And owners have egos. They like being talked about. They like being on TV on Christmas. They like, all these different things. They like it. And when you are the Golden State Warriors, and we know this all too well from years of this, you're largely irrelevant. And that's Joe Lacob he doesn't want to be irrelevant. But the end is coming for Steph Curry. And in this piece that I just showed you, his numbers are down as low as they've been since his 3rd year in the league. So this whole premise of Steph Curry is not getting worse. He kind of is. And worse is a bad word because he's still really, really, really good. But I'm sorry to tell everybody this, and a lot of people will disagree. He's no longer a top 10 player in the NBA. So the logic, let's go back to it. And let's go back to this, the cover of the show today. Would Warriors trade Steph Curry? Well, he's in his age 37 season. And like a couple of years from now, what are you going to be able to get for him? I just don't know. He's a really, really good player, but he would only go to a specific couple of teams. If you're trying to get over the top, or if it's, the Lakers or the Suns and they're trying to put him with either LeBron or KD. I mean, I know these things are crazy thoughts. And here's the problem with those teams. They don't have anything you want. What do you want? Austin Reeves for Steph Curry? Bradley Beal for Steph Curry. Like, none of those things work. You'd have to trade him to a team like, I don't know, Oklahoma City, where Oklahoma City is just desperate. And we talked about this the other day. Do you mortgage your future? So we were talking about mortgaging your future if you're the Warriors. By the way, there is no future to mortgage. But if you're Oklahoma City, if you stay patient, you probably win a championship. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But that's the kind of team that if you're the Warriors, you would have to go to because they have assets. They have young players. They have draft picks. Like, that's the kind of team that you need to go to and say, all right, because the problem with the Lakers or the Suns, which is where probably Steph would want to go and make an all old man team, they don't have assets. They don't have anybody that you want. If they did, they would be a better team. And the draft picks that you would probably get back would be higher draft picks because you put Steph on the Suns, you put Steph on the Lakers, they're going to be better. So you're not going to get a very good draft pick. So it's very difficult to move him. Conceptually, you think to yourself, okay, that is a thought because we could get a lot back from him, get a lot of picks, get a young player or two, and then we're jump starting. Okay. But I think Lacob could not handle the backlash. I think the turnstiles would stop turning. I was talking to somebody, I was on a radio show the other day, and we were talking about something that we've talked about on the show before, which is fans in the Bay Area, which is if they have bought season tickets or bought tickets to a game or something, this isn't the average person, but a lot of people, the rich people, not me, not you, well, maybe you, but not me, they'll just eat the tickets. They like, Steph Curry's not playing tonight. It's okay. I won't go. And the season tickets will drop. So even though we sit here, and I certainly do, and go, you've got to win. In fact, I think I have a promo out right now that I'm talking about. The ring is the thing. It's got to be. And we got into this whole conversation, you and I, yesterday, and I held up this big fake ring, that big, diamondless ring, the replica. And I said, the ring is the thing. It's got to be the thing all the time. But you also have to be smart enough to know, and this is where I think the Warriors are, and they're really coming to grips with it, or Joe Lacob is, because everything goes through Joe. They can have a big mahogany table that I always talk about, and everybody can, chime into what they think. What do you think, Steve? What do you think, Kirk? What do you think? Whoever. And then Joe Lacob sits at the king of the table, like the head of the table, like when you have a big dinner and he's at the head of the table and he decides, what are we going to do here? But the one thing they have to do, honestly, and you can see it because they're vacillating back and forth. We're trying to, but we don't want to mortgage the future, but they're going back and forth. So you can tell they're having these conversations right now, which is, let's be real. We're not a title contender. We're not really a high-end playoff team. So what do we do here? Do we run it into the ground? That's what I've advocated. I've advocated when you have Steph Curry, because he's such a rare talent and a rare person, that you just run the thing into the ground and whatever happens, happens. There's certain guys in my mind you just don't trade. Kobe Bryant, I wouldn't have traded. All this sports has changed. I understand that. But if the Warriors really want to have a future, Steph Curry would probably be a guy that you would trade. Would I? No, because I would be afraid of the backlash. I would be afraid of, there's certain guys, and I've said this before, there's certain guys, we talk about Pajemski and everything, I'm not worried about it. Like, if I think I can win a ring, I don't care. If I think I can go deep in the playoffs, it wouldn't even have to be a ring. I'd just say, look, we went for it. How can a fan complain about that? Hey, you traded this guy, and then he went to this other team, and he was really, really good. Hey, I was trying to get you a championship. It didn't work out. Sometimes the concept is right and the execution is wrong. Does that make sense? So you have a thought in your head and you do everything right and it just doesn't get executed. That's sometimes how the universe works. I traded for this guy. We thought that he was going to make us a championship team. We lost in the second round, and now you're all screaming at me. But if we didn't win a championship, you wouldn't. The concept that was right. That can happen in business all the time. It's not just sports. You can have a concept that is 100% correct and it doesn't get executed correctly because that guy came over. He's a human being. He didn't fit in with your team. How could you have anticipated that? Happens all the time. So if I was an owner, I would think, I don't know if I could do it because I'm not overly sensitive. Like if the fans came at me and they can come at you more than ever now. If fans come at me and said, you're a jackass. What are you thinking trading that guy? I was thinking I was trying to get you, the fan, a championship because that's the goal here. That's the goal. And I do wonder this conflict that the Warriors are having. Can we really be a championship team? Don't you have to be honest with yourself sometimes? Like I am. I say this all the time. You have to be honest in, the kind of job that you try to go get or the personal relationships that you make. There's certain women or men that might be out of your league and you're just like, look, I'm not, there's no way. Like, I'm not going to go over and talk to that girl. I look like an idiot. I'm a hobbit going over there. Hi, can I buy you a drink? She's like, Go away. Like, you got, so, it's kind of the stay in your lane concept, LeVar Ball. So you do have to be honest with yourself at some point if you're the Warriors and say, all right, are we in this or not? Because if you did blow the whole thing up and say Steph Curry gets traded and Draymond Green's traded, and you're just like, you know what? You put the signs out, everything must go, and you just have this fire sale. Yeah, you're going to suck for a while. And there's nothing that's going to guarantee that you come back. But there are sides to this thing, which is, Boston ran it into the ground. The Bulls generally ran it. And a lot of these teams who just run it into the ground, it takes a long time. And I think a couple of days ago, we were talking about this with Kevin Friends, and the Phillies ran it into the ground. It took them a while. The Giants kind of ran it. Well, they didn't. They did run it into the ground. They kept Belt a long time, and they kept even Lincecum longer, and Kane broke down, and that whole team. They kept them as long as they could. And part of the reason was, I know this for a fact, is that the Giants loved the turnstiles turn, and they wanted to re-sign those guys because they knew those were their World Series heroes, and the fans were going to keep coming. So I've told you this before. I don't know that the Giants are in all-out win mode all the time, but I also know that a lot of teams aren't because they're realistic. Teams are looking at their team going, like the Giants this year. I would love it if the Giants went out and signed Pete Alonso and signed, and I bring up Jack Flaherty, not that he's the greatest, but I think they need another starter. But I think part of the reason why the Giants aren't signing anybody is because it looks like Roki Sasaki is going to go to the Dodgers. My God. Like, it's ridiculous at this point. The Padres are better. The Diamondbacks are better. It's not that you're not trying, but it's like, why am I going to go out and spend the money now when we're not a player away? That's the Giants' philosophy right now. And I don't think they want to go over a certain line, this, that, the other. But I think that we can scream and yell and Buster, what are you doing? All you want. Buster's getting paid to take the arrows. But Buster's like, yeah, we're trying. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, they're like, the purse is closed and locked. It's padlocked. Like, Buster can't get in it. It's just not. And they're like, we're done. We're a fourth place team in the West. We're not catching the Dodgers. And then they start looking at the rest. Now you're a wild card team. All right, the Dodgers are the Dodgers. And the rest of the National League, we're not as good as that. I think that the Giants are being realistic. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just simply saying the Giants are going, why would we put all these resources into a team that isn't close? I think that's about business, but that's kind of how it looks to me, that they're just saying we're not even close. Why would we do this? If we're close, then we'll go sign some guys. Let's say it's the trade deadline, right? July 31st, August 1st, whenever it is. Then the Giants would say, okay, we will bring some things in because you surprised us. And it's the same thing. It works two ways, by the way. So back to the Warriors and potentially trading Curry. We're coming up on February 6th. They're 20-20. They're 10-10 at home. They're 10-10 on the road. They're the dictionary definition of a mediocre team. They've beaten some good teams, lost to some bad teams. So this is what they are. Steph is in his age 37 season. If we're being real, he has his lowest numbers since like his second or third year in the league. He's at about 22.9 points. He's not bad. He's a really, really good player. But even Steph right now is on the verge of not being a clear number one on a team, if that makes sense. So if you traded Steph right now and you put him on, I'm just saying Oklahoma City because, they're young, and I think it would take a couple more years for them to trade for him and go, God, we're in a window here. We got to get somebody. I still think they're just going to mature and kind of do what the Warriors did and not trade any major pieces and see if they can get it done. But if one of those teams did feel desperation and feel like, we're one away, and Steph would be a hell of a one away, at this point in his career, Steph would be better utilized as a Robin than a Batman, if that makes any sense. He's still great. I'm not saying he's not. But Father Time catches up with everybody, and he's going into his age 37 season. He's still very, very good, but he's not a top 10 player in the league. So if Steph Curry's not a top 10 player in the league, and his Robin is Draymond Green, and then after that, it's a bunch of, I don't know what this guy's going to give me every night. Wiggins has been solid. Kuminga's been solid at times. Other than those two guys, there hasn't been a whole lot of consistency on this team. Steve Kerr is playing Steph Curry less minutes than he's ever played in a long time. What is it, like 31 minutes a game? So he's trying to utilize him to say, we're going to try to keep him on track so that he can be solid the whole season. So he's not going to expand his minutes. So other guys have to step up. And at this point, it doesn't seem like anybody has. So again, the premise is, and maybe we'll just use that as today's, and I want to get back to the lines and hear what people said, because I've just ranted or talked for like 10 straight minutes. But would you do it? Would you have, if you're Joe Lacob, would you have the stones to say, I know there's going to be backlash. I know that nothing is guaranteed. I know that Chase is the house that Curry built. And I'm just saying, like, look, he's not going to do it unless Steph Curry says it to him. And then I don't even know if it would actually come out publicly that Steph had asked, because that's kind of a bad look. And then 2 years from now, 3 years from now, whenever Steph's done, he'll come back and be a Warrior. He's not going anywhere. He's going to probably stay in this community, I would imagine. He'll be a part owner. He'll be whatever he wants on this team. It doesn't mean that Steph Curry leaves and then he's not going to be a member of this organization, but it is something to think about. And it is an interesting story. Do I think what happened? No. Like I said, turnstiles and reaction from fans, even though owners say they don't care, GMs say they don't care, they do care. They have to care. That's your customer. That's the person who's either going to fill the building or not. And with Steph Curry, they are. Without Steph Curry, I don't know. I mean, it makes a big difference for me. Like if I had season tickets to the Warriors and they said, we just traded Steph, well, you better got a hell of a return. But what you get in return, and we talk about this all the time, it's the unknown. Which for a lot, if you're playing a game show and you're on Let's Make a Deal, that's cool. I'll have door number 3. It's a donkey. Sorry. It's a new car. Like it could be you just don't know. And it either jumpstarts you or it just puts you into the abyss in oblivion, and you're never on TNT and you're never on ESPN and you're never on ABC and you're not on Christmas. And now the ego of the owner's like, the hell did I just do? All right. That's a long thing. It's a long start. Trade Curry. What do you think? Could you ever, if you're Joe, could you ever? Let me see what people are saying here. Donkey show this morning in here. What's going on? I didn't look at I didn't look at it at all. I didn't look at the comments at all. And now things are going crazy. What do we got? I mean, Daniel, you're right. Steph is probably, I'd have to count it up, but Steph is probably the 15th best player. They are still double teaming him. You're 100% right. Hell, they're triple teaming him. Do you see the other night in Minnesota? They triple teamed him at midcourt. Now, there's 2 ways to look at that, and I'm glad you brought that up. Let me pop this back on the screen here. They're still double teaming him. They're triple teaming him. But you know what that says? In one sense, and I know what your point is, which is a good one, where it says, well, Steph is still great. They're triple teaming him. Okay, that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is they're not afraid of one other guy on the court. And so my point is that if Steph is the 10th best player in the league, just throwing it out there, I haven't looked, I don't know, something in that range, he doesn't have enough around him. So I'm just asking the Warriors, even though I would, if I'm the owner, I'm running him into the ground. I'm never getting another Steph Curry. There is more to this than just winning championships, although I would like to think if I was an owner, that's all I would want to do. I just want to win games. And it drives me absolutely through a wall. And this is just the way it's become. And it's become worse with social media that nobody wants to go for it. Nobody wants to trade that big. Nobody wants to make the big trade unless, and this is why this is a premise that I have, and I could be wrong. But this is why you see the player have to turn into a complete ass to get traded. Because the general managers and the owners of these teams are deathly afraid of back. They are. That's just you think these guys have these giant egos? They're extremely fragile. Extremely fragile. Because what's happening all day long? Think about this. I think this is true. I could be wrong. But think about this. An owner is being told by a bunch of ass kissers all day long how great he is, right? Oh, boss, you're so great. Boss, oh, what a great idea, boss. This. Very few people at that level have people who are being honest with them and saying, hey, can I be honest with you, Joe Lacob? I'm not talking about like the Warriors. I'm just saying like in his multiple other businesses. Yeah, that's a dumbass idea. I really don't. I think that's the wrong direction to go in. And all of a sudden, wouldn't you think to yourself, that guy's getting fired? Like they're not surrounded. I'm not going to say they're surrounded by all yes men, but they're surrounded by a lot of people that are probably afraid to tell them the complete truth. And so that's their life, right? That's their day. They're being told how great they are, this, that, and the other. So a lot of times they don't live in reality. And then you go to sports, which is totally different. So a lot of people in my position too try to comp sports to regular life. Sports makes no sense. It makes no sense. It makes no sense what we pay these people. It makes no sense what we pay to go to the games. It's fantasy land. When you go to a game, it's like having Monopoly money in your hand. Like what am I spending this on? It's $20 for this beer. It's whatever. This food is how much? This parking is $100 for the playoffs. These seats cost me what? Like it's total fantasy land. So when you try to comp it to regular life, it's completely inaccurate. It happens all the time. Well, I compare it to this. I compare it to this. It makes no sense. Sports makes no sense whatsoever. None. So when I look at an owner, for example, and he's told in his daily life all these certain things, and then he comes to the reality of sports and Joe Lacob has intimated this many times, he thinks he's going to be able to do what other people have not done. He thinks 2 timelines. He thinks he's not going to have to go into the depths of hell to then bring the organization back up. It's just the way it goes. I talk about it all the time. Throw the ball up, the ball comes down. It's gravity. Sports is gravity. But I don't think that there's enough reality to owners all the time. And then when they see this stuff come back to them, this is my point. Took a long time to get there. My point is that when reality hits them, which is what social media is, and it's not reality, that's the wrong way to put it. It's a vocal minority that are screaming and yelling a lot of times. I hate this. I hate this. Why'd you make this move? Why'd you trade that guy? And for guys who are being told how great they are, and guys who don't live in reality, and all of a sudden you get into sports, and then it's very public. The other businesses that a lot of these owners have, they're not public. They don't get feedback. Not every move is scrutinized the way that it is. You do one thing, and it's like, oh my God. I mean, Joe Lacob found that out early when he traded Monte Ellis, and everyone went crazy. It was like at Oracle Arena, like, oh my God, what did you just do? He got that right in the face. And believe me, behind the scenes, he was completely confused. And he was the new owner and everything. But I remember I talked to a lot of people who were there behind the scenes that night. And it was like, he didn't get it. Like, he's like, what's going on? Yeah, because you're not used to this. You do all your business and nobody sees what you're doing and everyone tells you how brilliant you are. Then you get in this space and it's like, look, you're an idiot. And now he's going to possibly, like I said this a couple of days ago, he really struggled to trade James Wiseman. Like, he was like, oh, sleepless nights. Do I trade Wiseman for GP2? You could tell why. Like, I liked Wiseman when they picked him. I thought he was going to be good. I think a lot of it is, I think it's past now, but I thought he could have been good. But I think it's mentally got hurt again. So I don't think he's ever going to reach his vast potential. But I thought at some point he did. And I didn't initially like the trade for GP2 because I thought they were giving up too early. But this whole thing, and they're still kind of clinging to this timeline thing, this 2 timeline thing a little bit. Like, we can't mortgage our future. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, either you mortgage it, you got to make a decision. Either you mortgage the future or you trade Steph Curry. There's no real in between. In between is where they are. So we're going to try to keep Curry and keep Draymond, but keep Kuminga. Like, it's been proven like 2 or 3 times with this team already. You can't do both. At some point, you had a situation where you almost could have. Wiseman had to have come through. Kuminga, we still don't know. You had Jordan Poole. That's if you traded a bunch of those guys, you'd be like, okay, that's mortgaging your future. You already did mortgage your future. You traded Jordan Poole, no matter what you think of Jordan Poole. You traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul, who's 90 and in San Antonio now. You already did mortgage your future because of Draymond Green, but you already did mortgage your future. We don't want to mortgage our future. You traded Poole for Paul. You already did it. Like, you do something, you're like, we don't want to do that. Well, what? You traded Wiseman for GP2. Regardless, you don't want to mortgage your future. You already did. So you either mortgage your future and get Steph the best chance you can, even though I don't think there's a player out there, or you trade Steph Curry. Middling in the middle is the worst place you can be, and that's where they are. So you can't get the best players. You can't draft the best players. You're in salary cap hell if you keep these guys around because Wiggins and Draymond and Curry and all these guys are making a boatload of money. So you can't sign free agents. You're not bad enough to get high enough in the lottery to get the top players. So you're just middling in the middle. Why? Because you want to turn turnstiles because Steph Curry is the bearded lady all of a sudden. Dun, 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 dun. Look at Steph Curry. I mean, that's basically what they're doing right now. He's like a Harlem Globetrotter out there, and he's entertaining the fans, but you're not winning anything and you're not going anywhere, and you're essentially spinning in a circle. You wake up the next day, it's like Bill Murray and Groundhog Day. Ned Ryerson? Like, that's it. Like, what do you do? Win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game. Are we having a 2 timeline? Are we not? Like, this thing has been going on. This is like the 3rd, 4th year of it, right? Where they're a play-in team, and we talk about getting Steph Curry help or trading someone or blowing it up or keeping it together. I mean, what are we on? 3 or 4 years of this? I don't know. Make a decision. I wouldn't trade Steph, but I understand those who would. All right, we're done with that. What do you think? Give me your thoughts. That was the thought that I had today because I read that piece on Yahoo today. What is everybody talking about today? What's going on? What's happening on a Friday? Let's see. What else do we have today? Very nice to see everybody, by the way. Yeah, everybody's good today. All right, let's get to, this is interesting. If we're done with, do I have any video down there that I need to play for this? No, I don't. All right, let me get to Brock's numbers real quick, just because this is what David Lombardi did. And I was trying to get David on today. We were just missing each other. Let's see today. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Thank you very much, Daniel. Warriors who? Kings down Rockets. 8 wins in their last 9. I got to give it to you, man. They played well, and the Rockets are good. Rockets are a really good team. By the way, part of that article, and thank you very much for popping that up there, Daniel. I really appreciate it. I will give it up to your Kings. They are much better. I didn't bring this up. Let me see if I can find this thing. I didn't bring it up, but one thing I hadn't thought of was in this article. Maybe I didn't pop this piece up, or maybe I didn't bring this in today. Let me see if I have this part. I think maybe I do. Leaving. No, that's not it. Let me see. Is it in this part? Let me see here. No, I guess it's not in that part either. As part of this piece, and I hadn't really thought about this. Maybe you have. Maybe it's in the beginning. No, it's not in the beginning of this thing. They, instead of Kuminga, they could have had Franz Wagner. Instead of James Wiseman, obviously, they could have had LaMelo Ball. Instead of, Moody, they could have had Sengun from the Rockets. So you can do that for every draft. You pick that guy, should have picked that guy. Pick that guy, should have picked that guy. But my point is that, and the piece's point is that when they had those opportunities, so rare opportunity for the Warriors, who just had an injury-laden season when they won 15 games, Steph breaks his wrist, and then you get this opportunity. You blow a season. And then you get the second overall pick of the draft. And the way to extend that window would have been make a great pick at 2. So Anthony Edwards, there was all that debate. Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, and James Wiseman. You didn't have a chance to get Edwards. He goes 1. But then the debate of LaMelo Ball. And I will be honest with you. And when I'm wrong, you know me. When I'm wrong, whatever. I'll tell you I'm wrong. Stupid. It happens all the time. But I did say on the air on KNBR numerous times, I liked LaMelo Ball. I didn't like his dad. But at that point, LeVar was pulling off because he had seen how he had screwed everything up with son number 1. So he was pulling off. And I think a lot of people in the NBA, and he went to Charlotte, and I'm sure Jordan talked to LeVar and said, enough, man. Like, no, we're not doing this little league dad thing. So beat it. And so that was going around, and that didn't seem to be an issue like it was with Lonzo the first time. Like he piped down, he quieted down, all that kind of stuff, and you really don't hear from him anymore. So that wasn't really a factor at that point. Maybe it scared the Warriors away. But if you're getting LaMelo instead of Wiseman, if you're getting Franz Wagner, who went to 8, the next pick to Orlando, and he's really, really good. And then the last one was Sengun, the great center for the Rockets, who's probably a top 10 player in the league right now, if not top 10, top 15. And you're not always going to get it right. So it's not completely fair to look back, hindsight 2020, and say they should have gotten those 3, but they made 3 mistakes. Wagner's better than Kuminga, I think, upside-wise too, but he's better right now, and I think he's probably going to be better. Sengun over Moody. They don't even play Moody. Like I think Moody's going to be I've told you this many times, I think Moody's going to be a very good rotation player in the NBA, but for some reason, I don't know, he pissed off who he slept with, who he, has pictures, whatever. He just, when he comes in, he plays well, and he plays a mature game that rarely happens. So even though he signed for $3 and $39, I expect at some point he probably gets traded and actually gets an opportunity to play in this league. But given the fact that they won't play him, Sengun is, like I said, a top 10 or 15 player on the Rockets. And we just talked about taking Ball over Wiseman. So even one of those moves makes the Warriors a lot better. Hell, 3 of those moves, and we're not talking anything about this. Steph Curry is getting another championship. Can you imagine? Wagner and LaMelo Ball. Even those 2 guys, you could keep the Moody pick. Even just those 2 guys, you got Ball and Wagner, and you had Curry and you had Green. I mean, my God. So when I read that today, I knew it, but you know how you forget things sometimes, and you go, "Oh my God, they could have had those 2 guys." I forgot about that. That when you miss those opportunities, that's why you're in the position that you're in. And I know what you're going to say. There is no perfect draft. There's every year. I don't care what sport it is. Should have taken that guy, should have taken that guy, should have taken that guy. But when you have the opportunity, you're the Golden State Warriors, and you'll pick in that place very often. You had 2, 7, and I think Moody was 14. So you had 2, 7, and 14, and you blew all 3 picks. Not good. And that's how you find out. That's how you're in the spot you're in. And if I go back to Joe Lacob, when you make those mistakes as an organization, it forces you into uncomfortable places. And where they are right now is we're dead in the middle. You either got to be really bad in sports or really good. And I'm gonna speak to you as from a fan perspective. The thing about the Giants that is frustrating, and I'm comping the Warriors to the Giants, is that you don't see the rebuild. You don't see enough young players. Like, we can deal with it. We know you're not in the championship window. We realize that there are ebbs and flows and peaks and valleys in terms of fandom, in terms of how a team works. It's just inevitable, unless you're the Dodgers. But anyway, it's inevitable that teams go up and down. It just is. So we understand. You just went through a window. You just gave us championships. Fine. The natural evolution of sports is you're going to go down for a while. But all we ask as a fandom is that you start to develop young players. And, look, there's that young player that I can start to feel good about. And all of a sudden, you're on the uptick. So we can handle it if you're going to be bad for a year or two. We understand that's how it works from a fan standpoint. But you got to show us a little bit. You got to, we got to see a little bit of a shining star there. We got to see a little bit of, we dig and dig and dig, and there's a little speck of gold. There's a little light at the end of the tunnel, however you want to term it. We're good. But at some point, it's like, let's go. Let's turn it around. And after a while, we get sick of the middle. Well, that's what happened with the Giants. It was like they kept trying to put duct tape on everything, right? And it was like, hey, at some point, we get it. You're going to have to go down to go up. But not enough guys have come through. So all these names that we hear, and that's what's so frustrating, I think, with the Giants, is time after time these guys come up and we get excited. No. Like when Joey Bart came up, everybody was so excited. And different guys would come up. Oh, I've heard about this guy and heard about that guy. And all of a sudden you're going, man, it's just, Luciano, and we heard about him for years, and we signed this guy and that guy. And all of a sudden Farhan leaves, and it comes out that they still have the worst farm system in baseball. It's like, we can be bad. We can be middle of the road, but, we got to have something. Kyle Harrison. I don't know that Harrison is going to be all that. Jung-Hoo Lee, he hit 260 last year with like a 641 OPS, and everybody's jumping up and down. He's funny and fun, and I love his smile, but it doesn't show me that they're going to be on the uptick. So that's if I think that what happens is that owners maybe they underestimate us as fans. Like, we can handle it. We understand at some point Steph Curry's not going to live forever. Yeah, I don't care if you put him in a time machine or Michael Jackson thing or whatever. Like, it's going to happen, and it is happening right before our eyes. But it's blasphemy to say Steph is not what he used to be. He's not, and so he's not going to be able to carry a team. Draymond Green could never carry a team. What else you got? So they got to sit around that table around February 6th and say, do we add or do we subtract? Now, Curry is probably an off-season thing if you were ever to move him. Steph Curry is likely not like a midseason whim, like, let's trade Steph Curry. We've decided. It's it. There's the whim. It's off-season. It's talking about it. It's marketing. It's how do we handle this? How do we market the guys coming in? How do we keep the turnstiles turning? How do we, stop the angry emails? How do we stop the season ticket holders from not renewing their tickets? That's a whole, like, Steph Curry is a whole different animal. You could trade Draymond Green. You trade Kuminga. You trade anybody on this roster but Steph Curry, and you could do that midseason. You can't trade Steph Curry midseason. I'm not advocating that, because there's a whole, like, Steph Curry is an entity in and of himself, and it's a total brand. And so you're like, well, how do we do this? Because we talk about this all the time. It's the casual fan. They got us. They got us. Hook, line, and sinker. They got us. We're sports fans. But what Steph Curry brings out on TV, in the arenas around the NBA, all these kind of things, is the casual fan comes out. Hell, I think the NBA would probably want to be involved. Now, you're trading Curry? Hang on. Steph Curry's big business. Hang on. Where are you trading Steph? Can't trade Steph to Toronto. Can't trade Steph to Charlotte. Can't trade, you can't trade Steph to Oklahoma City. Like, I talked about that before. They have assets, first-round picks. I don't think the NBA wants Steph in Oklahoma City. They want Steph in LA with, like, the Lakers. Maybe at least the Clippers, probably the Knicks. Like, that's where maybe Chicago to revive that franchise. That's not happening. But you know what I mean? They're like, you're trading them where? No, hell no, you're not trading them to Oklahoma City. Are you insane? And they're like, look, that's the best package we can get back. No. Oklahoma City is probably the smallest market in the NBA. They're like, no, nada. Try again. All right, I've been trying to get off this Curry thing for a long time, and we're 50 minutes into the show. So give me your thoughts. What would you do? I mean, you're Joe, right? And you're not winning a championship. You are not in a championship window. So what do? You trade him, you keep him, you run him into the ground. What can you get for him? It's complicated, man. The NBA is getting involved. They're going, hey, what are you doing? Like, wait a minute. Where you what? You're to trade him? Not without our approval. Where are you going? All right, where are we going here? Sorry, I got some allergies going on today. I apologize. Oh, I had this up the other day. This is kind of my premise for this whole thing, is like, look at that lineup. I know there's injuries, but Curry, Schroeder, Wiggins, Guy Santos, and Trace Jackson Davis, that was their last lineup against Minnesota. Now, obviously, instead of Santos, you're going to be putting Draymond Green in there. But that's not a championship team. I told you Schroeder was not going to make that big of a difference. Andrew Wiggins has had a very nice season. I'll give him that. Trace Jackson Davis is not a bad player, but if I was going to trade and add to the Warriors, it would be a stretch big. I don't think there's any question that they're absolutely screaming for a stretch big, but that does not scream to me, even with Draymond Green in the lineup, championship. It's not. I was like, oof, that's rough. All right, I told you I would move on. Let's move on. This is going to be, oh boy, this is going to be an entire offseason that we're going to talk about this 1,000 times. First of all, this thing has been sitting here. It's not getting better. It's not getting better with warmth. Hold on. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Very unprofessional of me, but that's just not going to work. That's not going to replace coffee. All right. David Lombardi loves numbers, and David Lombardi put these out for Brock Purdy's contract. He's projecting this thing out. So the thing that matters is the right-hand corner to me, or the right-hand column, I should say to me, San Francisco Standard. That's where David Lombardi is. If you want to see this for yourself, I just screenshotted a couple of these. So if you see there, the contract is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And that void year in 2031, that's just because so you can take that money and expand it over the time. The bonus money, which is you see the 14, 14, 14, the 8. So you take all that bonus money and you take it over the life of the contract so that it's smaller. So he's saying next year the cap hit would go. He's making about $1 million this year. 15-1, 23-3, 29-3, not bad. Then 78 for the fourth year, fifth year 78, sixth year 78. And then the seventh year is a void year, and that $6 million would be like a buyout kind of a thing, and then bye-bye Brock. So all told, let me pop this one up. All told, look at that corner number, $305 million. So 7 and 305 for Brock is what David Lombardi is projecting. 7 and 305. So let's let that sink in for a minute. And that's what's going to be. The good news in those, let me put up one more real quick. The good news in that number is, as we all panic to next year, he's going to make $15 million. And I've told you this, and that's what he's projecting. So the cap hits $15 million, I should say. Not going to make, that's the cap hit. Then it's 23.2, which is very reasonable. Then it's 29.3, very reasonable. So what that means for the 49ers is before that fourth year of $78 million, and I don't know if you're in the numbers or this bores you to death, so I'll make this quick. But before that fourth year, that means that I'm going to have to front load a bunch of contracts. So let's say that Talanoa Hufanga, you're going to keep him. Well, then you got to front load that contract because by that fourth year, it's like that thing is going to explode. And that's when you're really going to lose guys. 29.3 is absolutely doable. They're paying Bosa $20 million. They're getting ready. But so they've got basically 3 years. So when the reason I bring this up is that when people bury the 49ers and say, well, Brock's going to get that big deal and they're not going to be able to sign anybody and they're not going to be able to, and they're out of it. And this is the end of the window and everything else. Paying your quarterback on a cap hit at $15 million next year is not prohibitive. Paying him in 2026, 23.2, if this is even remotely accurate, is fine. And by 2027, the cap just keeps going up every year. 29.3 is very reasonable for a quarterback. Now, those 3 years after where you're going to have to bite it so that it does come out to an average of, whatever that is, 7 over 305. Do the math for me and hit me up on the comment line. I don't want to lose my train of thought. So they've got 3 years. That's essentially what they have. They have 3 years to figure this whole thing out. So now whether that's accurate or not, I don't know. I like numbers, but I don't get into them too deeply. I mean, I have a philosophy that I say, watch the damn game. And I can tell when people have to throw, like for Hall of Fame, for example, if somebody has to bombard me with numbers, well, this guy should be a Hall of Famer because if you look at his whip and his whap and his war and his blip, and it's like, you know what? I just watched the game. And I went, that's a really good player. Verge of Hall of Fame. That's a really good player. That's a Hall of Famer. That's a first ballot guy. Like if I have to, my philosophy on the Hall of Fame is like, if I have to really dig deep into the numbers, like for example, I saw this yesterday. Billy Wagner you get 10 years on the ballot. Billy Wagner is in his 10th and final year and people are trying to get him into the Hall of Fame. And it's like, he hasn't pitched for 9 years, right? Or no, isn't there a 5-year waiting period? So what is it? 14 years, whatever the hell it is. He hasn't thrown a pitch in a long time. Bottom line, has he changed? What's changed? What changed with Billy Wagner? Whoa, we got to get him in. No, you don't. I think you should be on the ballot for 1 year. You're either in or you're not. Vote for as many as you want. And I don't have to do a deep dive into analytics. I don't. Not for any Hall of Famer. I can see it. So can you. That guy's a Hall of Famer. That guy's a first ballot. That guy's a Hall of very, very good. Like, I think it should be a really exclusive club. So, that's how I see it. But let's go back and make that of Brock. It's 7 years. It's 305. So what people are saying is it the 49 on a national level? People are saying, well, they're going to pay Brock Purdy. The 49ers have no chance. They're done. The window's over. Well, it's not. The reason why is because $15 million followed by $23 million, followed by $27 million for a quarterback in a sport where the revenue is obviously going up and up and up and up and up. It's fine. So they've got a 3-year window essentially. And you know what? By that 4th year, when Brock makes that $78 million, which is outrageous now, will probably be the norm for quarterbacks. And it'll be prohibitive. But just like, you think about this. When Jimmy Garoppolo got his contract, he came to the 49ers in what, like 17, 18, something like that. And then the next year, so let's call that like 2018, I think it was 18 was when he signed his contract. He was making $25 million AAV, average annual value. That was number 1 in the league. And then Derek Carr topped him, and then it went from there. So in that short period of time, like 5-6 years, the AAV for a quarterback has doubled. 25 to even more than that, like 55 now, right? The top guys are getting like 55. I know that Dak's up there 65, something in that range. But the average of the top 5 quarterbacks is like $55 million. So it's doubled. So even though that number makes me want to vomit right now, like that shake, man, I hope she's not watching. It could be, you can look at $78 million in 4 years and go, yeah, that's kind of the average of the thing. So look, it's a lot of money. I'm not trying to say anything like that. But when I looked at Lombardi's numbers, and let's see, let me just show this last one more time. So that's $305 million over 7 years, 15, 23, 29, the first 3 years, and the cap hit. And again, I don't want to bore you with all these numbers. There is a point to putting these numbers on the screen there, which is not bad. So they've got a 3-year window. They're not out of it. They could sign guys this offseason with that kind of number. They can sign Talanoa Hufanga. They could sign Dre Greenlaw to a good AAV, prove it 1-year deal. There's things they can do. Now, Hargrave, obviously, they didn't think so. Debo, I think, like I said, I think he's going to be a 4th receiver. I think he's too rich for their blood and is going to go somewhere else. But they don't. My point in this is they're not the Cowboys. The Cowboys signed Dak Prescott, signed CeeDee Lamb, and said, we don't know what we're going to do. We suck. They're going to probably sign Micah Parsons. I went on that rant about a week ago. So you're going to draw the line at Micah Parsons, a guy who plays an elite position that you stole when you took him. I think you took him at 12 a few years ago. Like, you got to re-sign that guy. So they're not in the boat of the Cowboys. They're not in the boat of, years ago, the Raiders were in cap hell. They brought in Reggie McKenzie and had to clean house. The credit card bill is not due yet. It'll be due in about 3 years when you hit $78 million. But now what the 49ers can do, and they have a very smart capologist and numbers guy in Parag Marathe, is George Kittle's not going anywhere. I think George Kittle's going to sign an extension. I don't think that Mooney Ward's not going to come back. There's a certain guys I still am dead fast that I don't believe, even though Matt Mayoko joined us yesterday and said he thinks Debo's going to be around. I just don't see it. Debo had a horrendous season. And I know that Kyle likes him and all those things, but light can only take you so far. I believe all my bosses at KNBR liked me. I was fairly a model employee. We had really good ratings, but there's a bottom line to everything. And a bean counter in Atlanta said, and then went down the line. He makes too much. He makes too much. He makes too much. Makes too much. That's it. That's the reality of the sport. Is you look at Debo Samuel at $24 million as, to me, a 4th receiver and a kick returner, and you go, that's sticking out like a sore thumb. I can't have that. And he just had a horrible year. So look, I could be wrong in that. I wouldn't say I've pounded the table, but I don't see it. So anyway, I think that's good news. It's a lot of money. It's crazy. Do I got to pull out my phone here, or did somebody do the math for me? Let me see here. Somebody do the math on 7,305. What's 7,305? I just saw somebody talking about Zoloft. Oh, here we go. True Blue Forever. Good to see you. Let's see here. Let's see. Cut Debo. this spring saved $5 to $6 million only. Believe me, if an organization can save $5 to $6 million, they're going to do it. I mean, it's just, believe me, they're going to do it. Hello, Walter. Yeah, I am probably getting locked in my studio. I told you this. I can get locked into this studio, but it's all, she's got to be listening now because I know she's working. She always works from home, but I made a mistake. I had a couple of sips of the shake. It was okay. And then it got warm and now I'm stuck because I can't go run and get coffee. I don't have any commercials to run. It's not like a KMBR where it's like, I don't know how I do this for like 2 hours plus sitting here. Cause at KMBR was like, I needed a break. I had to run to the bathroom, like if you have one of those days and you know what I'm talking about, coffee will do that to you, but I don't know what happened. we have a raisin. Very nice. Ralph Barbieri hated Parag. I loved Ralph, man. Good stuff. Let's see. What else do we have? All right, let me play this for you. Give me your thoughts on Brock. I think that's good news. I think that, if you go 15, 23, 29 in the first 3 years of the deal, I think the 49ers are absolutely still in a window to win. And I think that the rest of the league, they'll bounce back. They're not going to have that kind of injury problem after this. All right, let me play this for you. This is pretty funny. Would you like to hang out with George Kittle for a night? I would. I wouldn't say that I know George Kittle. I wouldn't say that I'm good friends with George Kittle. I know George Kittle. He knows me. Has always been a really nice guy. We're not friends. We wouldn't hang out. But I would like to hang out with George Kittle for a night. I think it would be really fun. He lives in Nashville in the offseason. You probably know that. Big barn, workout, tight end, university, all that kind of stuff. But he often goes to Nashville Predators hockey games, and then they show him up in the booth. And as they show him chugging a beer, the Nashvilles actually score. Take a look at this if you haven't seen it.
Stamkos down low, Marchessault. Saucer pass Yossi. Stamkos, tough angle, score!
I'm going to play that again. Hang on a second.
Stamkos down low, Marchessault. Saucer pass Yossi. Stamkos, tough angle, score!
That's the Kittle beer up there. Wouldn't you like to hang with Kittle? If there was a 49er that you could hang with, Brock would be last on the list. I don't know why. Maybe it's the way he dresses, like the JCPenney's catalog, but I can't get by it. I don't know that Brock would be overly fun. Kittle would be really fun. Who else would be really fun? It looks like that would be really fun. McCaffrey would not be fun. He would be eating like, bean sprouts and smoothies like this. Trying to think who else would be really fun to hang out with. Dima Lenore looks fun. Hufanga, I don't know if Hufanga is as crazy off the field as he would be on the field. Bosa would probably be pretty fun to hang out with. Juszczyk and Kittle would probably be like together would be pretty good. But Kittle, I think by far. Kyle looks like he'd be pretty fun. I know Kyle likes to get after it. He has a lot of fun. The rumor is vodka Red Bull on that one. But yeah, so I think Kittle, I can't even think of a number two. Who does number two work for? I think Kittle would be just not even, I think number two wouldn't even be close. What do you think? I mean, you're sitting up in the booth and that's one of the things also. Bosa would not be fun. I don't know. It looks like he has some fun. Brock would take you to Bible study. Yeah, I think he probably would. I mean, yeah, Brock's a great quarterback. And one of the reasons why you love Brock and he gets all the commercials and everything is most people are thinking to themselves, well, this guy's not going to screw up our brand. Kittle 100%. Absolutely. Yeah, Kittle would be the guy, But then again, I mean, people think, here's the thing about Kittle too is he wouldn't screw up your brand. I mean, he's just a fun-loving guy. I mean, did you see Receiver last year on Netflix? He was by far he stole the show. I mean, Justin Jefferson was there. Devontae Adams was being the whole time, he's just like sourpuss guy. Devontae Adams, like, dude, I get it. Jimmy Garoppolo's not very good, but my God, relax a little bit, man. There's a good one. I do this with anybody. Hang on. Hanging with the lineman is a great call. I got a great lineman story for you in just a second. I'm glad. See, this is why I'm glad I do this because this jars my memory on stuff, but I wanted to pop this one up. Hanging with the lineman. I already did that one. Oh, this one. This is the one I want. No, dang it. This thing keeps moving on me. See, it moves and then I get screwed up. There you go. AJ, tacos and cervezas with Warner. Fred Warner went to BYU. So I don't know. I know he's from San Diego. He got mad at me one time because I went to Utah State and I was giving him some grief or something because BYU beat him or because Utah State beat him. Like it was miraculous. And he said something like, "Oh, you're one of those Aggie guys," because I told you yesterday about National Tequila Days. I probably forgot to tell you that because we were in Utah, went to Utah State. It was only when Utah or BYU was playing Utah State. So when they would come to town, and Steve Young probably remembers this, there was a blizzard. In fact, I don't know that I think I have talked to Steve about this. There was a blizzard at Utah State, and people were putting, because we're all, hopped up on tequila, we're putting rocks in the snowballs. I know, I was in college. It was really stupid. And they were throwing them at the BYU players. And near the end of the game, you heard a big like doink, and it hit off one of their helmets. And the referees just said, that's it. Like, that's it. They called the game with like 2-3 minutes left in the game. It was like 52-0 BYU. So because we had nothing better to do, we're throwing snowballs with rocks in them at BYU players. And that's it. It's over. And so Fred Warner went to BYU, but he's from San Diego. So I don't know if he partakes. I have no idea. But my point in putting that thing up there is tacos, tequila, beer with anybody. In fact, I think I'm going to go to happy hour and do that today. Don't tacos sound good 24/7, 365? You like breakfast tacos? You ever do that? Where you put you do like some scrambled eggs, but then you put like some chorizo, some cheese, salsa, mix that all in there, and then you bake it, and then you bake it in the taco shell. Oh, it's amazing. Dip it in some sour cream, guacamole, and you put it in there. Tacos for breakfast, though. Yeah, breakfast tacos all day. There you go, Nathan. Breakfast tacos. Unbelievable. Now everybody's starving. It's absolutely great. Ooh, somebody's got some sculpin. Nice call right there. Look at that. Sculpin. See, I'm like log jam in fantasy football. Welcome. I don't know if I've seen you before, but love sculpin. The grapefruit sculpin. Don't they have a pineapple or something? I know they have the grapefruit. It's very good. By the way, speaking of beer, and a guy who drinks a lot of beer, I had a phone call yesterday before I move on to NFL lines. We'll talk about the weekend. I forgot to tell you this. So we have a very exciting announcement that's going to be coming up. Let's see. We have a meeting first week of February. I thought we were closer. Maybe I shouldn't have said this. We're probably a month out from having a really, really cool announcement. Let's just say that. All right. I'm sorry. That's probably too long. I should have waited for a couple more weeks to tell you that, but it just popped into my mind. We have a really, really cool announcement coming up in a few weeks. Maybe it'll be before a month, a few weeks. I shouldn't even have brought that up. Never mind. Scratch that from the deal there. San Diego. You ever gone through the Sculpin Brewery in San Diego? It is unbelievable. And by the way, if you've never gone through any kind of a brewery like that or anything, it is really fun. It is really fun. One quick thing that has got me going. We're already on the tangents. Sculpin is awesome, by the way. Somebody just said that. Sculpin is absolutely great. Somebody said they never heard of it. Oh, there's Joy. Hi, Joy. Very good. If you're a beer person, if you like IPAs, they make a few different kinds. They do tons of different beers, but Sculpin is a really great beer. High alcohol level on some of them, but the grapefruit, if you're a grapefruit person, grapefruit Sculpin as well. I think, like I said, I think they do a pineapple or something like that. They do all different kinds. They're always bringing out new stuff. It is a great brewery. It's down in San Diego. It's an IPA. Probably people are saying they don't like IPA. That's totally cool. But it's not like a strong bite IPA. It's not one of those ones where like that kind of a thing. See, that's what I should have done for my vacuum cleaner yesterday. We were doing a vacuum cleaner bit, and then I went back and I watched that. I made a promo out of it, and it didn't even make a sound on the microphone. It's like, oh, this is terrible. What am I doing, man? I was going to go on a tangent, and I totally forgot about it. I had a great story. Remind me. Somebody remind me. I was good. See, I got to have people remind me of stuff, or it's over. Effervescent is nice. I don't mind that. Yeah, Ballast Point. I don't mind bad. I don't mind that. Not bad at all. Yeah, some people don't like IPAs. I totally understand it. And like I told you, I'm not a huge beer person. I've said this a million times. I like cocktails more than beer. But if I go to a ball game, if it's summertime, people come over to the house or whatever. And like I said, we are going to, once the weather gets, we're a few months. See, look at, I'm teasing all these things. Hey, a month from this, we'll do this. But somebody said something about Lombardi from Lombardi shutting out that match. 5-year extension for Purdy with 305 or 61. Oof, 61. Yeah, there you go. See, I pop like 2 at a time, and I don't even know that I'm doing it. Yeah, the brewery tour is really, really cool. Somebody talk. Oh, there he is. I've been to Lagunitas as well. Very, very cool. Yeah, do it this weekend. Today's Friday. Do it. Get out of here. Not out of here. I want you to hang out here, but I mean, in terms of like, get out of town. Have a great weekend. All right. That's a tangent. We're back on the freeway again. I told you that's how tangents work. We get off, we get some gas, get some food, and we get back on. All right. NFL lines this weekend. Do you care? Like, what's your, I'm really anxious to, or I'm really not anxious. I'm curious to what your interest level is this weekend. There are the lines because that's all anybody cares about anymore. Let me give you a little background on lines, by the way. I'm not talking about cocaine. I'm talking about lines on a football game, lines on a field, lines on a football game. Are people into it? Because we did tons of advertisement for these guys. People would get really mad at me on the radio on Thursdays. We'd bring that guy in, one of those New York guys. Hey, I got the thing for you. You got to call me 1-800. Oh, I can't miss. I'm telling you right now. And then you call, and then they have your phone number, and they never stop calling you again. So I apologize for that, but it was money. It was money in my pocket. It was money in the station's pocket. And so we did a bunch of ads with what they call those tout services. So I don't know how much people are into gambling because the state of California still, Tommy and I had guys on all the time, like the legislators and the guys like that. And we were like, is this ever going to happen in our state? Because all we're doing is like, I'll drive to Reno, no problem on a weekend, or before the season, I'll put a bunch of money on a bunch of different stuff. Yeah, all my 49ers stuff is gone, burned. But so some people are into lines. I could not really tell on the radio how much people were into it because we talk about it all the time. When I worked with Tolbert, we'd have like 3 guys on a Friday to talk about it. So I don't know how into the betting scene people are, especially in California, given the fact that we don't have illegal gambling. I think it's 33 states do. But anyway, there's an aside to what I'm going to talk about here. So the Texans are 8.5-point underdogs to the Chiefs. We all hope probably, unless you're a Chiefs fan in here, that the Texans win that game and DeMeco Ryans. I don't see it. Although, again, in 2019, when the Chiefs beat the 49ers in Super Bowl 54, like you needed me to remind you of that, the Texans were up 24-0 on the Chiefs. This morning, I was watching a show Max Crosby was on. I think it was on the NFL Network. And he thinks that Jaden Daniels and Washington have a chance in Detroit. I'm going to watch that game, and that's an 8.5-point spread. I don't think the Commanders have any chance in that game. It is going to be, they say Kansas City's loud or Seattle's loud. Those are outdoor stadiums. Like I said, I used to do pre and post game for the Lions years and years and years ago. And even when the Lions sucked to the level that they sucked, that's a loud place. It's got a roof on it. It's what they call a dome. And so that's going to be the loudest place you've been. Those people, and this is not a stretch. They are desperate. They are desperate to win, the Detroit Lions fans. It's been so long. It's nasty what they've gone through, all the different things. I was there for an 0-16 season. I've told you that. It's brutal. And they are going to take all of that out on the Commanders. I almost said Redskins, the Commanders. We had to shut down the show if I said Redskins. They're going to take that out on the Commanders. I think the Lions win that game by 3 touchdowns. It's a great story that Washington's where they are. Jaden Daniels, all these kind of things. But that's not happening. That upset's not happening. This one to me is interesting. I don't know if you heard the story. Jared Verse grew up in Pennsylvania, who's probably going to be the rookie of the year. Rams defensive end, wears 8 from Florida State. And apparently he went on this rant yesterday about how much he hates Eagles fans. And so now people are saying that, he's going to get it and he's going to catch it. And it's like, no kidding. He already knows that. Niners fans know who went to Philadelphia. That's nasty, man. If I was going to take an upset, and again, you can build a house on the picks that I make if you just take the opposite. But I kind of feel like the Rams are playing really well right now. I know going to Philadelphia, it's supposed to be a snow game, which you got to look to yourself, who's going to run the ball better? Well, maybe it's going to be, should be Saquon Barkley, but Kyron Williams, that big Rams offensive line. Now, maybe they're just completely out of their element because they're from LA. They're in a dome at SoFi. It's not exactly a dome, but you're basically covered from the elements when there are elements, which isn't very often. So maybe because it's a snow game, the Eagles are better prepared. Everyone loves snow games, by the way. Give me your thoughts on snow games. I hate it. I hate snow games because I want to see the best, and I want to see it on an even field. Like when we covered the was it Super Bowl 48 Seahawks and Broncos, Pop and I. That was an amazing week in Manhattan, but I digress. And the weather forecast the whole week was like, is it going to snow? Is it not going to snow? Is it going to snow? Is it not going to snow? And it didn't snow on Super Bowl Sunday, but then the next day when we left, massive storm. And we got delayed at the airport and everything. And everyone's like, I wish this would have been Super Bowl Sunday. And it's like, I don't. Like, I want to see the two teams in good conditions. I don't want to see snow. But that further to me says then it's more of a coin toss than it ever is because like we saw with the 49ers and the Bills, you got to design your offense differently. Now, obviously you got to run, but nobody can get traction. So one of the things the 49ers didn't do in that Bills game that they lost was, Guerrero, just swing the ball out to him, said that they're already running. and then just get them a running start and get going. And they kind of had some success doing that. But I think it was Mason who was running north-south in that game. McCaffrey obviously didn't play. And he's like a 4x4 in that stuff. So it's going to depend on who can run the ball and stop the run. And I know Philly's really good, and maybe they're going to be better because they're more prepared in the elements. But I don't know. I think the Rams have a weird thing going on right now. I'm not going to say they're going to the Super Bowl or anything, but I think the Rams are going to win that game, and I would definitely take the 6 points. So go opposite. And this is the best game of the weekend. Ravens and Bills. Who do you want in that game? I want the Bills. I mean, if I'm looking at all these teams and say, who would I want to win the Super Bowl? And the Bills fans are the ones who have suffered the most. I mean, with the Jim Kelly and losing all those Super Bowls and everything. And I like Josh Allen from lovely Fireball, California, where it doesn't start to stink, but probably like 5 miles after it does start to stink in that area. So anyway, yeah, I like that. I'd like Bills Lions. I think Bills Lions would be a cool Super Bowl, don't you think? Anything but Mahomes. So give me your thoughts there. That's what's going on this weekend. I would take Bills, Rams, Lions, Chiefs. Now, as far as the spread is concerned, 8.5 for the Chiefs. Nah, they've played way too many one-score games. So I'd go Houston. If I just told you what I would do, just as far as wins are concerned, with the how I would bet this. So again, take notes. Bet opposite. I would take the Texans to cover the 8.5 because all season long it's been one-score games for Kansas City. I would take the Lions to cover the 8.5. I know that's a big number, but their hair is going to be on fire. I would take the Rams to cover the 6 in Philly, and I'd take the Bills in the 1. I'll give that 1.5. I think they'll win by like a field goal. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think the Bills are going to win. Ravens are good though. That would not surprise me if there was an upset. Not that I'm hemming and hawing on this whole thing, but that's that could absolutely be. So there you go. I'm going to hide that in 3, 2, 1, and just let me know. Who do you think? I think Bills and Lions. I think Bills and Lions, and I want Bills and Lions. And I would root for the Bills. Because I tell my friend all the time, and I tell you this, I got a really good friend in Detroit who was my producer when I was back there. And he always texts me stuff like, yeah, the Lions, hear the Lions roar, woo! And I'm like, yeah, Lions going to lion. Lions going to lion, dude. So just don't get your hopes up. Lions going to lion. A couple other NFL stories that I got to get you. And then what else do I have on my video there? Oh, I got some good stuff for you. Don't go anywhere. As we stay with the chalkboard, if you're new to the show, chalkboard to the right, we are a slave to the chalkboard. So episode 34, we've talked about trading Curry. Brock's numbers, which are big overall, but the first few years would be palatable. So the 49ers can still be a playoff team that has Super Bowl aspirations. Kittle's beer, we showed you Kittle chugging a beer at the, there you go.
Down low bar, saucer pass, Yossi.
Saucer pass. Look at that. He's good luck. So there's George Kittle. That's why that says that up there. George Kittle chugging a beer in Tennessee. He lives in Nashville in the offseason. There's he and the Predators. Just gave you the NFL lines. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, there's a little bit of Tom Brady. I don't know. The reason I wanted to pop this up, and there he is talking to John Lynch, it looks like. You can read, but I'll read it for you. There's Adam Schefter. Tom Brady plans to be in the Fox broadcast booth for the duration of his 10-year contract, his agent Don Yee told Sports Business Journal on Thursday. I look better than Tom, so let's get him off of the screen. So his deal is 10 years and $375 million, 37.5 each. He owns 5% of the Raiders. What are the Raiders worth? It's more than that. So 5% of the Raiders is worth more than that. And I will be honest, at the beginning of the year, and we had Tom Brady Sr. on our KNBR show at the time, and it's not easy. And it's not easy when these guys are thrust in, like Jason Witten was put in the Monday Night Football booth as a number one, Tony Romo with Jim Nantz as a number one, and actually Romo regressed. He went from calling all these plays, and then the NFL got mad at him for being Romo-damus, and they said cool it. And that was actually his biggest superpower, so the NFL kind of screwed that up. But usually what happens is you start on like the 5th team, and then you kind of move your way up. But these guys, because they're high profile, Tom Brady's not doing a Jags-Titans game in the early window. Like, that's not happening. He's Tom Brady. So they thrust him into the number one role. It's not easy. His voice sometimes doesn't cut through crowd, and there's all these complaints. Plus, just people have bias against Tom Brady. They're pissed, they're sick of him, and now not only did they have to deal with him for 20 years with the Patriots, all of a sudden it's like, this dude's in my living room calling all the best games. God. So I understand it, and Tom Brady doesn't need me to defend him. But I don't know if you're new to the show or whatever, but I love talking about broadcasters and the enjoyment of it. And a lot of people are just like, look, so if you don't like this conversation, please give me some feedback. But to me, it's not like I'm not going to watch a game. I told you about Dick Vitale coming on my show, and behind the scenes, he was just this real quiet. And then when I said, "And let's welcome Dick Vitale to the show," and he's like, "Hey, baby!" And he's just freaking out. I'm like, "Wow, man, this guy's not always on, but when he's on, my Lord, blowing up my." So I'm not the biggest fan of his. I would watch a Bill Walton broadcast, rest in peace, even if I didn't care anything about the game. I just thought Walton was that funny. I didn't know what tangent he was going to go on. Big Walton guy. Some people don't like him. I get it. This is controversial. Dun, dun, dun. I like Joe Buck. I have no problem with Joe Buck. No problem whatsoever. We don't like him in the Bay Area, and it goes back to they had him riding a trolley car when he was doing a game at Candlestick during the day, and he had a World Series game to call at night with the Giants, and everyone was freaking out going, "You can't do that!" And it's like, well, it's Fox. They're just doing a bit. Most people aren't from here, and they don't realize that you can't take a trolley car from Candlestick Park to Oracle Park or AT&T or whatever it was called at the time. And so everyone got mad at Joe Buck, and I've told you the story before. In 2012, I'm covering the World Series, and I'm sitting up in the cheap seats because that's where they put the local media. I must be in the front row. Rest in peace, Bob Uecker. And I got my binocs out, and Pablo hits the first home run. People go crazy. Pablo hits the second home run against the Tigers. They go crazy. And then Albuquerque joins the game, and he hits the third home run, and it's kind of an oppo shot, so it's kind of near me. It's in left center field, and that's where I was sitting with Overflow Media and trying to, type and do all this stuff in a regular seat. I'm at the game. I'm not bitching. So anyway, and all of a sudden the chant breaks out because Joe Buck is calling the game, I think with John Smoltz, who's far more offensive to me. Joe Buck sucks. Joe Buck sucks. Joe Buck sucks. And I'm going, Pablo Sandoval just hit his third home run in a World Series game. The Tigers are cooked. They're winning another World Series. And everyone's chanting Joe Buck sucks because he took a trolley car. He didn't really. Took a trolley car from Candlestick to a World Series game at China Basin. Like, no. It wasn't his fault. So if people, I haven't looked at the chat line for a minute. But so anyway, my point is broadcasters. And I think Brady has gotten a lot better as a broadcaster. And not only is he tolerable, I would say that he's, I don't know who your favorite analyst is. I mean, Collinsworth is pretty good, but he's almost become like a meme of himself. Like he just does so many weird things. Whatever. I don't mind him. Greg Olson is very good. I don't know that remember growing up that they just had so many good ones. And it was like, all these guys are so good. But I think Brady's probably maybe top 3 now. I think he's pretty good. He lends you a lot of insight, which is all I care about. By the way, I used to not hate. Sorry, that's a bad word. I don't like the word. It's a curse word. I didn't like Troy Aikman a lot, but he's on this thing. He's on this kick. Somebody wrote about this the other day, and it was the exact thing I was thinking. Troy Aikman is on this kick of like, I don't care. I don't know at what age you are, but as you get a little bit older, you care a lot less of what people think of you, of what you say. You have enough knowledge and enough experience to know generally. And so you just start shooting off at the hip. You're just like, I don't care what people think. Troy Aikman has enough money. He was a number 1 overall pick. The Cowboys gave him a bunch. Fox was giving him a ton. I think he makes $25 million a year on ESPN. He's at the point in his life. I think he's on his second marriage. Kids are probably gone. Like, he's just like, I don't care. Who do I need to say nice things about? Like the other night, I have this. I can probably pull it up, where he absolutely eviscerated the Cowboys and Jerry Jones. He probably at one point in his life cared about that relationship with Jerry. What could Jerry do for me? I don't want to piss off Jerry. He basically said that the Cowboys job stunk, that it was a terrible job. And basically what I've been telling you the whole time, that Jerry has the big hand over you and he's a puppeteer and he's just, he's pulling the strings on you. Who the hell would want that job? I mean, that's essentially what he said. And I'm like, wow. So he's just on a total tear in terms of just like, I'm just going to call it like I see it. And he used to not teach me anything. And that's kind of where Brady, I think, has turned the corner too, is Brady's kind of turned the corner, and most every game he's giving you stuff that's like, oh, okay. And he's not afraid. I've told you this before. The biggest thing with ex-athletes being in the booth or being in a studio, pre and post game, all that kind of stuff, is these guys are their peers. And so they don't want to piss off their peers. Hey, we have a chunky soup to get. We have the same agent, or we have a soup commercial coming up, or they don't want to piss each other off. They don't want to say anything bad. Hey, that's my boy. I'm not going to, I can't rip that guy. But Brady's like, whatever, because these really aren't his peers because he's so much older than everybody else. I mean, he played to 45, so they still are. I mean, there's still some guys in there, but he kind of says it like he sees it. I think he's doing a better job. But my overall point in that whole thing, sorry, I went on a tangent, which I'm known to do. My whole point was, I love talking about broadcasters. But the thing I want to talk about here is, I know it's $10 and $375 million for Brady, but he's running the Raiders right now. And I've told you in this past, if you're new to the show, Mark Davis fanboys on these guys. And so when George Atkinson was around or Cliff Branch was alive, or these guys were friends of his, and he took their advice. And it's the same thing. Antonio Pierce completely fooled Mark Davis. And Mark Davis is like, this is a former player. He says he loves the Raiders. He got totally fooled by him. And now they're taking it out of his hands. And this is what he's doing to Brady is he's kind of the ultimate fanboy to Brady, which is weird because he authored one of the worst moments in Raiders history. And Al Davis would be like, he's a part owner of our team. Are you insane? So that, whatever, he's gone and Mark's doing what he wants to do. But it's not the worst idea in the world to say, hey, you know what? I don't know what the hell I'm doing. How about Tom Brady comes in here? Now, will Tom Brady be any good? I don't know. But my point is, I don't think Tom Brady is going to be in the booth for 10 years, even though I think he's gotten better. Because what would you rather do? Wouldn't you rather run a football team? I mean, isn't that all of our dream is, if you like sports, to run a team? Like for somebody to just, you're sitting up in the stands drinking a beer and I don't know, whatever team you want to run. Larry Bear's, sitting in his normal seats. And he goes, you know what? I don't know what it is about you, but I think I want you to run the Giants. Like, how amazing would that be? I'd rather run a team than be an athlete, a rock singer, like whatever it is your passion would be when you were growing up. Like you wanted to do a certain thing, fireman, policeman, doctor, whatever it is, a pro athlete, rock singer, whatever your like ultimate dream was when you first started going, God, what do I want to be when I grow up? Like, I want to run a team. That would be amazing. So for Tom Brady right now, he gets 5% of the team, and then essentially he's the general manager. And he just gets to run everything. Because whoever goes in there to coach, and they're talking about Ben Johnson of the Lions, like there'd be no way that Ben Johnson, he's already said that. There'd be no way he'd even look at the Raiders if it wasn't for Tom Brady. So Brady's running everything. Because they're like, Mark, step aside. We got to get this thing done. So I don't think Brady's going to be long-term to do that. We'll see. Hey, let me throw this at you for a little bit of, well, hang on a minute. Let me go out and see what people are talking about. Because see, what happens is I don't look at the line for a while. And then people will be like, they'll just say the craziest things and I miss it. Some will be related to what I'm speaking about, but some will be related to, I don't know, Barbasol. Like I have no idea. I have no idea what's happening. Get to the bottom of this whole thing. See what's going on with everybody today. We have already gone over a lot of stuff in episode 34. Trade Curry, Brock's contract numbers, Kittle drinking a beer, NFL lines, a little bit on Tom Brady. I'm going to get to the Giants sign in a minute and tell you what that's all about. I have this video that's going to blow your mind in just a second. Hang on just a second. What's everybody talking about? Is there anything I need to get into? Any tangents I need to go on? Are we going glass blower again today? I have no idea. Tacky, this is what happens. Tacky says porn star. I have no idea what you're talking about. Todd says Lund should get Kruger on the show. Yeah, Krug kind of owes me, doesn't he? I've done his show like 10 times. That's a good call. I had somebody cancel on me today, but it's all right. It was last minute right before the show. We'll have guests on every show now. We had 2 on yesterday, but from now on, we'll have guests on. Don't worry. Let's see here. All right, there's nothing earth-shattering. I'm just double-checking. See, there you go. Joe Buck was terrible doing those. Here, let me just pop these up since, I could read them. Terrible doing those San Francisco World Series broadcasts. You could feel his bias. See, that's the thing is baseball's hard in that way. And then this is a perfect segue to this Giants thing I'm going to do for you. It's hard in baseball because in the NFL, other than preseason, it's done on a national level. And people still think guys are biased, which they're not. And then you go to the basketball side of things and you have local broadcast and national broadcast. I prefer a national over a local, but you could be different. That one's an interesting dynamic because most times fans like the local broadcast over the national broadcast. That one's probably different. Warriors. But then you get into the Giants and everybody loves Krug and Kipe so much. And by the way, I'll get Kipe on the show. He was one of the first people. He is such a nice guy. We talked about Kipe yesterday. He was one of the first people. In fact, it was like maybe a half hour after I left KMBR. He was like, dude, sorry, really appreciate it. Just what a super nice guy. He used to call our show all the time. Like, we have an anonymous caller from Blackhawk. And we're like, oh, we know who this is. One of the greatest guys ever. So when we get closer to baseball season, and I am going to go down to spring training and do live shows from spring training, which will be fun. We'll get him on the show. He's just an amazingly awesome guy. But the thing is that because they're so good, that then when a national broadcaster who is trying to be objective broadcast, you think that they're biased, and you can have maybe they are. People thought then that when Joe Buck would do a Cardinals game and a Giants game, and nationally, that he was biased against that. I don't think it happens. I know enough guys that are broadcasters that are like, look, I get paid the same. It would be cool, but whatever. And that was always my thought. If I'm doing pre and post for the 49ers, yeah, I'm going to tip it towards the 49ers side of things, but just by my very nature, I can't sit there and homer out. Now, a lot of guys can because their paycheck says that team on their check. Mine never did, but it's hard. It is definitely hard because what you have is, just to kind of take you behind the scenes, is you have people that work for that organization and they are essentially your boss and they can have you removed. Even though I was working for KMBR and doing pregame for Niners, pre-half and post for the Niners and the network, if they didn't like me, that was it. Same thing with the Giants. I do pregame for the Giants a lot of times for day games. We'd be out on the patio having drinks and everything. And it's like, okay, I got to focus in because this is the Giants deal. If they didn't like me, I was out. Like, it was just like, he's not doing anything. We don't want him near our stuff. So anyway, who tried to call me? I tried to call you, but you didn't answer. Hello, John. I guess, yeah, Walter was taking some calls. I don't know how Walter was doing that the other day. Do you want calls? I mean, I love this text thing, man. I can just fire through everybody. Then you don't have to wait on any kind of hold or anything like that, man. This is going to make no sense to anyone but me and Puck, which, by the way, if you're up in Seattle, Puck does an amazing show up there doing the same thing I do, but a lot better. He says, well, you have a fangirl calendar, which leads me into a great tangent. Thank you, Puck. Great guy. Was up in KJR Seattle for a long time, and he is an awesome guy. So make sure you subscribe to Puck. He's awesome. Awesome stuff. I do have a super right now, and I got to put that on the screen, but let me tell you a story real quick. So, you're not supposed to date people at work. I don't know. I guess people do. People date people at work all the time because, especially when you get to a certain age, like, how else am I going to meet people? I get to a certain age and you're not going to meet people in any other way. So, my first wife was a promotional girl for the radio station, and we had to keep our relationship quiet for a really long time. And it was just like, and it was like, so guys would be hitting her all the time. And I'm like doing a radio show, looking over there going, it's my wife, but whatever. So yeah, that's what he means by that whole thing. All right, let me see here. There's more to that story, but that's all I'm willing to share with you people right now. Don't says, John, you're the man. Got to do some mock drafts. See, okay. All right, don't. And I'm going to keep that up on the screen there for a minute because you gave into the money. And thank you very much. If you really want to get your thoughts out on the screen, we do have the supers. Doesn't cost you much. And
hot coffee.
Oh, thank you. But,
and thanks for drinking my shake.
Oh, it got warm on me.
Okay.
See, I knew I would get in trouble. It just got warm. No, it's really good.
Okay.
It's outstanding. Oh, gee, see, did you guys do that? You see what just happened there? Damn. I'm not gonna be truthful on this show anymore, man. That's all there is to it. No, I have to be. Can't help it. Yeah. Oh boy, I'm in some trouble. That's probably couch tonight. So she came in. If you're new to the show, so I had this shake, and you can see now that it's separated. And should have taken that with you. It's gonna spill on some of this equipment. Took a sip of it. It was a little. It was okay. It's got a little seeds and stuff in it, and then it got warm, and so there's no way I'm drinking it now. And then, so I talked about it, and she must be behind on the show because obviously, if you're on the YouTube show, you can go back. I think if you're on X and Instagram, you can go on. You can go back too. But she must have just heard that. So which is the good part is she just brought me a steaming hot cup of coffee. Geez, that is hot. And before it was a shake. But then again, it goes back to NBC Dateline. Like I'm really skeptical that she keeps bringing me drinks. Like she never really does that. I mean, you think there's some arsenic or something in here? Or something. I don't know. I mean, she gives me the shake, and then clearly because you can see that it's separated, that I didn't drink it, and now she's really trying to get me because she just brought me hot coffee, which never happens. I don't know. Should I be worried? Should I be nervous about that? Bringing me drinks. Like I got some water here that I brought. Maybe just do that. I'm a little nervous. I drink coffee, yay or nay. By the way, when I was in the radio business, and then I will address what was said there. When I was in the radio business, people would bring donuts and they bring food, and I'd never eat them. Like, there's no way. And I love everybody, but it was like, hey, I'll give you a great example. I was working on the air for a team, and they had just gone to the NBA Finals. It wasn't the Warriors, and so I'm the post game host. I went from 10. I'm not even kidding you. The game ended at like 10 at night, 10:30 at night, whatever it was, and they freaked out and they didn't know what to do, and so they congregated at the radio station because they had never. It was a Utah Jazz, and it was 1998, and John Stockton had just hit this shot over Charles Barkley, and it sent the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals for the first time in their history. And so, Utah, I mean, it's not like they're going to overpack the bars, but what happened is that in Utah, they stopped serving booze at 12:30, which is unbelievable. So, and you got to be out of the bar by 1. So everyone was freaking out. They didn't know where to go. Like nothing's open in Utah. Are you kidding me? Where are you going to congregate? So I'm broadcasting from downtown, and all of a sudden my producer walks in during a break and goes, people are here. Like there's hundreds of people outside. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. They're freaking out. And because it was an amazing game. It was like a game 7. Stockton hits this shot over Barkley. It's a road game in Houston. Everyone's freaking out and they don't know where to go because people are drinking or whatever, but the bars are closed. And so they start congregating around the radio station. And I'm in there like, oh my God. And I look out the window, there's hundreds of people. There's people honking their cars. And I'm like, well, why are they here? And so I start saying, hey, if you bring a pizza, I'll let you come on the air for a minute. And, program director, I don't know, all these people are out of town. All the powers that be are out of town or they're not listening or whatever. You can't let people into the radio station. Are you insane? So at night, we don't have a secretary. There's nobody there. So we had like interns and stuff, and somebody would bring a pizza. Like, okay, this guy has a pizza. He says he wants to come in. So he brings in the pizza. And then I said, okay, 60 seconds on the air, no cussing. And the guy would come into the radio station. Oh my God, they made it to the NBA final. I can't believe. He'd get out of there and it cost him a pizza. Then the next guy would come in. I need a 6-pack of beer. Guy would bring a 6-pack of beer. So that was the only exception to the rule that I ever made. But if like donuts had just shown up at the radio station, I'm not eating those. What are you insane? I don't know what's in those. So that goes back to the point of my wife never brings me anything. She makes me the shake, which I'm extremely, extremely grateful for, but I let it get warm. And so then I don't drink that. She's like, oh, no. And then she brings me hot coffee, which it's great coffee, but I'm starting to get like Dateline worry, like Dateline, they thought that their marriage was doing great, but it wasn't because Jane poisoned Joe's coffee and now he's dead. That story next on Dateline. Mock drafts is what Don't said. Yeah, believe me, I'm a dork when it comes to draft and all that kind of stuff. Complete dork on NFL drafts. And so I don't know whether to bring that dorkiness onto the air or not. Maybe Krug and I will probably do something, and maybe there's somebody else that he knows that really does this stuff. But you're probably sick of hearing this. We used to do the draft from 49ers headquarters, literally right next to the draft room, and just had a ball, just loved it. It was really cool, and people loved it, and they did all that kind of stuff. So again, being semi-democratic on this show, if enough people say to me, hey, we want you and crew to get together and do some kind of a draft show, then yeah, we'll probably do that. I love it. And they would have the screen and all that kind of stuff. And the Niners are picking at 11. So yeah, why not? I think when they were we would do it because it was in our contract. They were picking in the first round and we're sitting there doing it. The year that they picked Jake Moody in the 3rd round, we did it. And then John and Kyle came in and Kyle said, just so you know, I wanted a running back. He said it, playing it straight out. So everybody who thinks, oh, they are dedicated to Jake Moody. I mean, they're pissed that they used a 3rd round pick on him, but it's not like, they're not keeping him forever if he's not any good. So anyway, all right, there you go. Don't says, hell yeah. You and Larry do the mock, book it. All right, if I get enough of that, we'll do it. I will probably do it anyway because it's fun. It's fun to do that kind of stuff. What else do we have? All right, before I play this Giants thing for you, which kind of gives you, yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like the Dateline thing. This is channel Dateline 24/7. They have limited or no commercial breaks. Pat, my wife, I don't know if she's going to want me to do this. What does it say? Are you trying to? No, I don't have a side chick, man. Don't even start that. I don't have a side chick. You know how much trouble I would get in right now? There would be arsenic in this coffee. No, I don't have any of that, man. Yeah, you got it costs more than a 6-pack. Nathan says you can have your own segment for a 6-pack. Nah, I couldn't do that. I couldn't totally give him. I couldn't totally give him the. Yeah. Oh man. See, now we're going back to the start of the show. True Blue Fava. She folded the laundry. Yeah, you're right. God, man. Yeah. I walk in there. I don't know. Your significant other probably has the same thing. Is that And now we've gone to the random stuff. We've skipped ahead of giant sign and Ellie Roki on the chalkboard, and we've gone down to random stuff. So I don't know if she's really going to get mad and I'm already on her bad side because of this shake, but I figure I'm probably already on the couch because she wasn't kidding. Like, she gave me the look. You know the look? She gave me the look. She hates laundry. I mean, hates laundry. It'll just pile up forever around here. And we got 2 kids, one adult, and I'm semi-adult. And then when my son comes into town, he's a hurricane. It's awful. He's the dirty. It's unbelievable what he does. He doesn't even unpack his suitcase. Like, he came for the month of December, back from college for a month. He had this gigantic duffel bag that he never unpacked. Like, it was just clothes everywhere. And I just went, oh my God. But anyway, she actually brings someone in to help us fold laundry. Like, she can do laundry. She's really, her folding right now. That's what I did. We have this woman who's amazing, who does it and really knows how to fold. Like, I'm talking about, store quality folding, which I can't do or don't have the patience for. And that's what I looked at it and thought I'm like, did you do this? Oh, all right. One more tangent, and then we're out of here. We're not out of here. We're not leaving. Bill Hader is Keith Morrison. If somebody has it, if you haven't seen it, after I'm done, not now, do not leave me. Do not leave me. But, if you haven't seen it, oh my God. You've probably seen it on Saturday Night Live, but it is absolutely incredible what he does. So anyway, all right. Is that enough tangents for right now? Enough random stuff for right now? Because I just started to put it on the chalkboard, and I don't know when the random stuff's going to come, but it just does. But you saw what just happened, unless you just joined the show. My wife came in here, and it was not like, ha, 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 funny bit, funny show bit, ha, ha, ha. This was like, you didn't drink my shake. I made the shake. I'm pissed you didn't drink the shake, and here's some coffee, and it might be Dateline. Like, there might be a problem here, but not. And then she already folded my laundry. So do you realize somebody's already got a third wife going? That she has so much equity built up in the closet right now. I have to kiss her butt because of the shake, to kiss her butt because she brought new coffee, and because clearly I'm running out of energy. And then she folded my laundry. Like, who's buying dinner tonight? And more. Oh man, I'm in a lot of trouble. Somebody just said third wife. Yeah, I know. There it is right there. Todd says third wife. Nah, that's it, man. That's it. We're not going to, no, there's going to be no third wife. My second wife is amazing. You got it perfect. All right. Yeah, you're right, Joy. I need a second screen. I have one screen. I do have, I do have the iPad sitting right here, but I'm actually getting a brand new computer here shortly. Did I already pop this up? No, I did not. Happy Friday. Looking forward to a weekend of football on the couch. Is that what everybody's doing? Like, weather's been really good, but I did pop that up a little bit earlier of the NFL lines. I don't expect you to be as enthusiastic as you would be, say, if this was the 49ers. Like last year at this time, we were preparing for Packers and 49ers in the divisional, and little did we know that most of the game, and thanks to a missed field goal and a Dre Greenlaw interception and all that kind of stuff. Do you remember back in that game where it was like, because I remember because I was sitting in the booth with Papa and company, and we were all on our feet screaming at Dre Greenlaw after that interception. Get down, and he wouldn't. And then after the game, he said, well, yeah, Fred was telling me I had to get a pick six. And it was like, if you fumble there, that's the only chance they have to win the game. And then the next week against Detroit. But I mean, that's where we were a year ago, right? Where it was like, oh my God, we're getting ready for Green Bay, and the playoffs are amazing, and now we're sitting it out going, that's, I mean, that's a hell of a good schedule. Thank you, Nathan. Again, the stickers and the supers, you can definitely get your thoughts on the screen if you would like to do that. So I really appreciate you doing that. Quick plug before we move on to everything else. It is John Lund Unleashed. Thank you so much for joining us. Please, please, please subscribe on John Lund Unleashed Pod. That is on YouTube. We are live at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. I decided because, like I said, kind of democratic on the show. People said, when I asked, would you watch a 10 a.m. Saturday show? People said yes. The majority of the people said yes. Some people said, are you insane? I'm hungover and sleeping. I will never see you. But do remember that just because the show's live doesn't mean you can't go back and watch it later. So you can do that. But we're going to experiment tomorrow. And yeah, I'll definitely need to get someone on a Saturday. And it's going to have to change my habits too on a Friday night to a certain extent. But we will be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. and just see how it goes. And so we'll do that as well. So make sure you're subscribing and have the alerts on so you don't miss anything, like 10 o'clock tomorrow morning Pacific time. So that's that. We're going to do it. So we're going to be 6 days a week now. Also, please subscribe on YouTube. I told you that. We are also live on Instagram and X, so don't miss that. And that is Monday through now Saturday, 8 a.m. on weekdays. We'll do the 10 a.m. on Saturday and see how that goes and how long we'll go. And then remember, we do have the podcast as well, podcasting the show, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And the website will be probably today. I'm actually going to probably launch that today. There was a couple of things that I'm trying to tweak there, but it's kind of up in the beta sense at johnlundunleashed.com. It's not completely done, still tweaking some things, but it's good enough, at least the soft launch. So you can check it out at johnlundunleashed.com. Still working on a couple of technical things, getting a little work from the guys who actually did the website. They do the website. I screw it up. They have to fix it. I do the website. They do the website. I screw around with it. It gets screwed up. They fix it. So that's kind of where we're at. But it's good enough. At johnlundunleashed.com. You can kind of get the sense of what we're going to do. We're going to change a little bit. Don't love exactly the front page and some of the tweaking things, but you can get a good enough idea of what we're doing with that thing. So we can soft launch that thing right now. So anyway, that's how you get a hold of the show. At John Lund Radio on Twitter and X. That's a great way to get a hold of me if you got thoughts, and on the comment line, not only during the show, but after the show as well. All right. Another thing on the a list there on the chalkboard, as you see, it says Giants sign. So what happened was the Giants signed a bunch of international prospects because Roki Sasaki, who, by the way, if you have not heard, the Padres are out on Sasaki. And for some weird reason, I thought that Roki Sasaki was going to go to the Padres. I don't know. And I told you this yesterday. I know that everybody's free. Oh, he's going to the Dodgers. The Dodgers are so far ahead of where the Giants are. It's actually, I know this is crazy to say, and you can disagree with me 100%, 1,000%, 1,000,000%, which you can't have. So you can only do 100%. But if he signs with the Dodgers, so what? I've made this analogy. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. It's just put more frosting on the cake. Like at some point, it's like, yeah, I'm going to get diabetes from this cake. There's so much sugar on it. What's another layer of frosting? They're so far ahead. If he went to the Padres, I was thinking to myself, you got Dylan Cease and you got Michael King and you got some good pitchers, but man, they could use Sasaki very badly, kind of like the Giants. They're missing an arm in that rotation. So I would have thought it would be more damaging to the Padres, who you might, I'm using that word lightly, you might be able to compete with. Whereas the Dodgers, it's like with or without Sasaki, you're not competing with him. So I'm not really that angry, but it's down to Toronto and LA, and I think we know how that goes. Now, maybe he'll surprise us because he is quirky apparently and go to Toronto. I can see it. It's a major market, but you're not having all the pressure that maybe you're going to have in LA. So maybe he does that. I do expect him to go to LA, which means he'll go to Toronto. So anyway, that was one thing today, but the Giants were out on Sasaki earlier this week. And so they threw a bunch of money at all these international prospects. One of them being the second best prospect in the international class. He's a young shortstop. But the reason I'm going to play this for you now is this tells you how difficult it is. We often talk about this. How hard is it to, find a quarterback, or how hard is it to find, for the Giants, power hitting that can play in this ballpark or whatever. You debate it all the time. What is the hardest sport to draft in? They're all difficult. Even the first round, like we all look at the NFL and look at the first round, and we're like, he's in the first round. He's got to be good. It's 50-50 in the first round in the NFL draft. And then it just drops from there. Then in like the second round, it's like 30%. And the third round, it's like 25%. It just goes down and down and down. So even in the first round, you're 50-50 whether you're going to hit on a guy. So yeah, it's difficult. Quarterbacks are really difficult to hit on, but there's nothing more difficult than trying to project a baseball player. So this is what I'm going to play for you. This is a 16-year-old kid in the Dominican. And just observe where he's playing. It looks like it's just kids playing like on a field. I don't think it's even very organized. And so this is a guy that the Giants just gave $50,000 to and are thinking to themselves, okay, we hope this 16-year-old projects. So watch this. So let me play this one more time. Just observe, not so much the kid. Look at everything around him. You see him running there, and there's like, I don't know what that is in the corner, and then there's a bunch of houses and, and kids in different uniforms and all this kind of stuff. So it's not like it's a really organized thing. So Francis Romero is a guy who is an expert on, international signings and all those kind of things. He was the one who broke the news that Sasaki wasn't going to be signing with the Padres today. So 16-year-old Ruben outfielder, I'm not even going to try to say his name, Dijon Marcaris, will officially sign tomorrow with the San Francisco Giants. He becomes the highest bonus player born in Aruba during international signing periods. He's 16, and he's playing on a field like that, and that's the video they have of him. Now, they've obviously traveled, and they've seen him and all that kind of stuff, but you're trying to project a 16-year-old kid playing on a field like that in I don't know, it looks like a little league or a high school field or something, but it's not overly organized, and that's the video they have. Hey, could you send us some video of the 16-year-old kid that the Giants just signed? And that's what there's like, I don't know, motor homes and all kind of weird structures, and so that's what you have to do. Like, I don't know, what do you think? Should we sign that kid? Looks like he's got some pop. Let's do it. And then you're trying to project a 16-year-old kid playing in a game like that to the major leagues in like 6 or 7 or 8 years. And then we can say to ourselves, what the hell, man? How come you didn't hit on that guy? I thought he was supposed to be good. And that's just one of the guys. They signed like 15 guys. But it's like, I watched that video today and I'm thinking to myself, how in the hell? Like, how do you project that guy 7, 8 years from now? He's 16 playing like I used to do. Like, we used to play, what was it? Above the line or beyond the line. And he's like, okay, so how many guys do we have? We have like 4 guys who can play. So you're going to have a pitcher, a hitter, a catcher, and a left fielder, or maybe a center fielder or guy, playing rover, but you can't hit the ball to right field. And it's a point if you get it out of the infield. And it's like 3 points if you hit it over the wall. If it hits off the wall, that's a double. That's 2 points. Like, that's what those guys look like they're playing. They're not even playing like a real game. There wasn't like a shortstop in that game. There was like 5 guys on the field. It looks like I think it was called over the line. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it looked like they were playing over the line with like 5 or 6 guys in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, and that's what the Giants are trying to project, a 16-year-old playing in that kind of atmosphere. And it's like, yeah, we're going to give that kid, I don't know, 100. They said it was the most that it had ever been, like, $80,000, $100,000. I don't know what it was. I think they said I thought it was $50,000, but maybe it was more. But how are you supposed to project that guy? And then we're sitting there going, oh, yeah, we'll project that guy out to be like a major leaguer. I'm like, what in the what? How could they possibly project that kid? Look at this. You probably don't want to see it again, but I do. Like, what the what? Look at, what is that down the right field line? What's that big structure out there? By the way, those are ominous clouds. That's what you call ominous. How many kids are on the field? There's a pitcher. There's a kid in the red out there who's the shortstop, and there obviously is a left fielder, and there's got to be a catcher because you don't want to throw the ball and just have to go retrieve it. So there's the pitcher who's backing up. There's a shortstop standing on second base. There's clearly a left fielder. I don't see it. Is there a center fielder? I don't see a center fielder. And let me go back one more time. I think there was a catcher, right? There was a catcher and an umpire, now that I think about it. So there is an umpire and a catcher, and there's kids in that dugout. There's a first baseman. There's a first base coach. Oh, no, the first baseman I thought that was the shortstop. See, there's not even a shortstop. That's the first baseman running to second. Like, they're playing over the line. That's what they're doing. They're playing over the line. And it's like, can you send us some video on the kid the Giants just signed? Yeah, there's some video of him on some random field in the middle of nowhere where the first baseman is covering second base. They're playing over the line. Yeah, I'll give that guy $100,000. Best of luck. Best of luck. That's hard, man. I don't know how you can do that. All right. So we did trade Curry, Brock's numbers, Kittle beer, NFL lines, Brady, Giants sign, LA Roki, because I think Roki Sasaki's going there. San Diego is out. Random stuff. We have absolutely gone over a ton of random stuff. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that EB here that there's a guy. Yeah, I saw that kids. He's got the swing. It looks just like Alex Rodriguez, and he's a big guy. But again, he's 16. Like, if you were, let's think about this. Now, maybe you were much more mature than me at 16. But at 16, the things that were on my mind. Now, these kids are different. They're thinking of themselves. They live in poor countries, poor parts of countries, all these kind of things, and their only way out a lot of times is like baseball. That's the only thing. So they're, again, trying to comp this to my upbringing, your upbringing, whatever. That's totally crazy. So they're like, I got to get out of here. Like, baseball, 24/7, 365. Like, I've got to get out of here. I get it. I got to take care of my family, all that kind of stuff. But me in 16, my dad had given me a Chevy Blazer that I absolutely totaled. I was out of control. It was all about girls. I didn't really care about school very much. I did play every sport, but it was just, you played every sport so you could probably get girls. I mean, that was just like, there's just no way. So you're trying to project me 16 to maybe 23 or 24. And that kid looks really good, but, is he going to get hurt? Is he going to lose interest? Like at 16, it's like, how could anybody at any age in anything like, okay, you're 16. What are you going to be like at 23? What are you going to be like at 24? I don't know. Maybe you're mature. Maybe you don't. Maybe you get bored of it. Maybe you get into drugs. Maybe you hurt your arm. Like, it's just like, wow. Like that kid looked really good. I know EB. I know what the guy you're talking about. I watched the video on the kid. I'm like, wow, he looks pretty good. But again, the Giants, in fact, you know what? I do have a picture of this kid. Here's another kid I had this from yesterday and I didn't bring it up. Here it is right here. I think it's Alex Pavlovich saying that. Yeah, see, that's not the kid we just saw, but this is a kid who's 16, 17 years old. He was the second best international prospect, and the Giants signed him for millions. Josar Gonzalez, and he's the second best international prospect in the pool. And again, here's a 16, 17-year-old guy. He's going to be the guy we talk about like Luciano forever. When's he coming? When's he coming? He's like 6, 7 years away, and he might not be anything. But we got into this conversation yesterday, not to get too deep into the Giants here, but the problem that they're having is they're doing better internationally, but obviously the draft you got to hit, free agency you got to hit. There's so many different ways, and baseball's so different from the other sports. Internationally, draft, free agents, all these different things that you got to do. You got to get lucky in a lot of these ways. Injuries, especially with pitchers, are a big part of it. But the thing that they have not figured out, Nori Aoki was the last guy they had in 2015, Japanese players. You know, guys are going to Chicago. They've got a couple of really good ones. Obviously, the Dodgers have got a bunch of good ones. The Padres have done well. The Rangers have done well. Like the Giants have to get into that market. You know, I thought they would have a shot at Sasaki, just the way that Sasaki was talking. How he's kind of like, I don't like big cities. I don't like. I'm going. This is a big city, but our media is not bad and not evil or anything kind of stuff. So I'm thinking to myself, this might be like I got my hopes up a little bit for that guy. But they got to figure it out because here we are in the West Coast. We have a big Asian and Japanese population. I'm sure there's lots of great places he could eat, befriend people. Like that's a major thing that they're just not taking advantage of, and a lot of other teams are. I mean, look at the Dodgers, for example. We always talk about the Dodgers, Ohtani and Yamamoto and probably Sasaki. I mean, they take those three guys off that team and see what they are. They're really good, but they're not what they are now. All right. I have one more. I have a Caboose pistol to play for you, so I'm making sure that nobody wants to discuss anything else in a sports sense, because I do think we've gotten through a lot of things. And again, if you missed anything that's on the chalkboard today, all you simply have to do is go back in the show. We are live on X, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube and put your alerts on. And I did, by the way, hit the button for the Lund Loyalist today. And like I said, it's very, very simple. I'm going to release videos that will be for the for these subscribers and the Loyalists only. I'll do special shows. We will do special chats that will be involved with the Lund Loyalists. All those kind of things will go out. And I'm not going to just do Lund Loyalists for gatherings and stuff like that. I know we're going to start doing those, especially in the East Bay. If you're out in the East Bay, I'll go anywhere. But I know we're going to start. Thank you very much, Todd. Just subscribe to John Lund Caboose Pistol. So if you subscribe, I'll make it worth your while. It's a measly $5. And it makes it so that I can take my wife out to dinner because clearly I'm in the doghouse right now. Do you think there's anything in this coffee that's bad? Oh, it's outstanding. Outstanding. That might be the best cup of coffee I ever had in my life. Absolutely great. All right, let's do this. Very nice. Look at Nathan. Nathan is a new member. He is a Lund Loyalist. Nathan, I will make it absolutely worth your while. I promise. We're going to do a lot of cool things. We always do a lot of cool things, but I'm just telling you, we'll do a lot of cool things with it. All right, let's do it. Let me go to the Caboose pistol. And I have one Caboose pistol story, and you have to participate in this today. I need your help with this. It's not going to just be me talking to myself and this whole thing. I need your help with this Caboose pistol today.
John Lund Unleashed brings you the Caboose pistol.
A female officer noticed the handle of a revolver sticking out from inside the woman.
What is the Caboose pistol?
Did you say Caboose? The old Caboose pistol, everybody has one.
What better way to end the show than with a what the fuck was that?
Wedged in the crack of her buttocks.
What?
Good. I know someone who could hide a machine gun in there. Yeah. I'm sorry, we're getting off track.
Just take it away, Lund, and leave me out of this, you weirdo.
I am the messenger. I am not the weirdo. So I have just one story for you today, but it's a good one. I might have a couple more, actually, other than that. But let me pop this up on the screen. So I want your thoughts on flying and how, because this woman's going to talk, you're going to see the headline, but then you're going to see a woman who I guess is some sort of an expert. And she's going to talk about why we're angry on planes nowadays. And if you're of a certain age, as I am, it used to be kind of a cool, like when you would go on an airplane, at least when I was growing up. So a lot of my family's from Chicago, so we would fly, especially in the summer or during holidays. We would fly to Chicago a lot. So, I mean, that's a fairly long flight, right? But I mean, I remember, and I have pictures of myself, and remember, this is, in a different era, so I'm wearing like, suits, little suits with, checkered and all sorts of weird stuff and like that. And my hair's blonde, but it has like green chlorine in it and every kind of thing, because you just did that all the time. So anyway, that's the look I have as I'm getting on this airplane. But we had to dress up nice. And my dad was a traveling salesman, so my dad was probably out of town 2 to 3 weeks out of a month. So when he went on a plane, he had a suit on back in the day. Nowadays, it's sweats. You barely get out of bed. You throw on a hat, whatever. Everybody stinks. Everybody's cranky. All that kind of stuff. Their coffee, all that. So there's certain etiquette on a plane. But I tell myself, and this is kind of what I was talking about the other day. I was talking the other day about when you go to a movie. When you go to a movie, you have a certain expectation level. If Adam Sandler's in the movie, then it's like, okay, it's not going to be an Oscar award winner, but hopefully I laugh a little bit. If Russell Crowe's in the movie or, whatever, then you think maybe, it could be an Oscar award winner, whatever actor you like, there's going to be a little more meat to it. Jack Nicholson or whatever. There's going to be a little meat to that movie. So you have kind of a thought in your head and you adjust accordingly. Even if you go to like a Giants game and they're hovering around 500, yeah, maybe they win, maybe they don't. I'm just going to have fun. You got to, I told you the other day, you got to develop that mentality with the Warriors now. They're not the championship Warriors. So go to the game and just say, you know what, Steph Curry is going to entertain me. This is going to be entertaining. 2.5 hours, kind of like a movie. I leave. There doesn't have to be an expectation level. There doesn't have to be a sequel or prequel or anything. It doesn't have to be anything like that. Like, I'm going to go be entertained for a couple hours. So the reason I bring that up and compare it to airplane travel is we all hate it. Like, we're not sitting there going, God, man, I'm going to Hawaii, but you know what I'm really looking forward to? The 5-hour plane ride. I love that, man. And they play Hawaiian music and they give us macadamia nuts. I just love the flight. Oh, we hate the flight. The flight sucks, but it's a necessary evil. If you want to go to Mexico, you want to go to Hawaii, you want to go visit your family in New York, you want to, whatever, you want to go to Chicago and walk on Michigan Avenue, whatever the case, you got to travel. We don't love it. I don't love it, but that's just kind of the way it is. You have to travel. And so you just you do what you got to do. And so I get a mentality, and I would suggest this, not that I know anything or everything, not anything, but I'm just saying it might make it easier. Just walk into the airport going, it is what it is, man, and nothing's going to get to me. Mental attitude is everything. So I walk into an airport. Now, it does help that I often give myself time to go to the airport bar. I do have clear. I am clear, so I don't have to walk into a lot of lines. I know myself. I don't like it. I don't run through an airport like OJ used to do in Hertz commercials. Like, my wife wants to leave at a certain time. I like leaving a little bit earlier. She is acquiesced to me in that way because I'm not neurotic. I wouldn't say that. Just, I don't want to run. I don't like to hurry. I don't like to be late. So we have this mentality in an airport, no matter if it's the holidays, whatever the case may be, that I'm pretty laid back. And then, and I got my stuff, iPads, different things, listen to music, but I do have the mentality of, don't care, not going to get mad. So many people, the only thing that really is my peeve, and I don't get that mad about it, I used to, but you get onto a plane a certain way, and let's say I'm on row 22. Well, you don't need to get up and have your ass right in my face because they haven't even opened the door yet. So I'm one of those people, and I know if it pisses other people off, but there's certain people, it's like, I get it. Maybe you have a back problem, or maybe you got to get up, or maybe you're scared of flights or whatever. But, half the people stand up and get in the aisle, and I'm like, I'm in row 22. Like, it's going to be a minute. Just chill out. And then we go out, kind of, okay, that row goes, you walk out, that row goes, you go out, you get your suitcase. Like, I don't know. I just chill. I mean, so that's a little bit of a peeve, but I still don't get mad. And no, I'm not self-medicating. I might have a couple, I might get a couple of mini bottles at a time, a Jack or something. But, I'm not over served. I kind of have a mentality. I don't get mad during a flight. It doesn't make me better or worse. I'm just saying that's what I've developed over the years, that I know people are stressed and everything like that, but I just kind of have a mentality of, I'm just not going to get pissed at the airport. Just not going to do it. So anyway, with that as a long backdrop, here is something in regards to the Caboose pistol, but it's this woman talking, but take a look at the headline as well.
on edge. They're scared to fly. They're scared to travel. So you already have people in this panic state, in this mode of uneasiness. Nobody's relaxed on a plane. That's why they're looking to alcohol to.
All right, let me stop that for just a second. Because the reason why this is a Caboose pistol is because it says United passenger gets a $10,000 fine for urinating in seat mid-flight after mixing Xanax and alcohol. Now, clearly that's a nervous person who does not like to fly. And I understand that completely, but I'm just using this really as the jumping off point to talk about air travel because everybody's on edge. No one likes it. No one, it's a means to an end. I got to get here. I got to get there. I'm going on a vacation. I'm on a business trip, whatever the case may be. And the worst part of it, even if Southwest tries to say funny anecdotes and, whether you have a good, you can't call them a stewardess anymore or a steward. What do you call them? I forgot because I want to be politically correct on the show, if nothing else. But anyway, United passenger gets a $10,000 fine for urinating and after mixing Xanax and alcohol. I mean, I can't imagine sitting next to that person. I think it would be terrible, but it's the jumping off point to me is this whole thing of what she's saying. So I'm just giving it a second so that part can marinate about the United passenger. So let's listen to what else she has to say. Oh, wait a minute. That's Kittle. Played the wrong thing. I'm going to have to start this again. Sorry.
Try to calm their nerves, but that's having the opposite effect, and people are just getting more worked up, and then you have altercation.
So anyway, okay, get off my screen. So there you go. So I don't know what your thought is on air travel. I try to take it easy. I understand that people are angry. Oh, look at that. Thank you, Nathan. There you go. Now there you go. So Nathan is a member and he will get all sorts of perks. I promise you. Thank you, Nathan. You are one of the Lund Loyalists. Everyone is, man. We have everybody in the room that is tremendous, and I love it. But I'm going to go down here a little bit. Her voice is annoying. I'll give you that. I thought that, Baba Booey, I thought that right when I saw that. Flight attendant. Sorry. I do not. And if someone's a flight attendant, I'm certainly not taking shots at flight attendants. In fact, my best friend's wife was a flight attendant for a long time, and we would go on her flights and make her hell like, more drinks, please. And she was just like, okay, I am going to kick you off this flight. But so I'm not saying that. I'm not saying anything negative against it. I just kind of had a brain fart and forgot it. But anyway, that would be terrible. Everybody kind of has their flight thing, but doesn't everybody have a kind of a, I don't know, routine when it comes to that? Because the night before, still to this day, and I've flown a ton, I always think I'm going to miss the flight. I always want to go there early. I always try to anticipate because we live in the Bay Area, and I don't live very, I don't live very far at all from the Oakland airport. So, I always am there early, and then my wife's giving me a dirty look and we have clear. So we zip right through. And even in the holidays, it really wasn't bad, but I think everybody just kind of, it's like developed just a mentality of like, it's cool, man. No problem. I'm going to, because a lot of times, most of the time, unless again, a lot of people travel and I totally understand that. But for me, probably 70% of the time I'm going somewhere fun, right? Like we're going somewhere fun. So it's like, yeah, I got to travel. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Yeah, that guy just sneezed on me. Yeah, that guy's got his feet up and he doesn't have his shoes on and I'm looking at his dirty socks. And one thing I will say about air travel is people they just lose their head. Like, would you ever put your would you ever put your dirty sock feet like up on, somebody's rest or you see that a lot. And you're just like, what are you doing? Like, are you insane? I don't know. The Xanax drinking guy, but by the way, that's the other thing I was going to say. A $10,000 fine? You got fined $10,000 for pissing himself on a plane. Now, should you do Xanax and booze and should you know a little bit better? Yeah, you probably should know a little bit better. But I guess you got to take I don't know. You don't think you have to take the whole seat out, but you got to get that thing cleaned and it's going to take a minute and somebody's going to have to do it and they're going to have to put it back. But $10,000? They're not messing around anymore. My goodness, man. That's crazy. Anyway. What else do we got? Anything else? Get her a diaper and let her party. I've told you that story about Wrigley Field, right? About the adult diapers. That was one of the craziest things ever. I've told that story if you haven't heard it. Essentially, the long and short of that is we're at Wrigley Field one time, and one thing I will say. Let me see here. Sounds like a standard flight to Asia for me. So, Wes, I don't envy you at all in that regard. My God. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, man. Somebody says, is that fine legally enforceable? I don't know. There must be some sort of a thing. Must be some small print on your ticket that you have no idea exists and you could get $10,000. But I mean, that's crazy. The story about Wrigley Field really quickly is, so we're there and you ever been to Chicago or the Midwest or anything, or any kind of place that has humidity, ridiculous humidity. And so we're watching a game, we're out in right field in the bleachers, which is a great place. If you're going to Wrigley, you got to go to the bleachers. Got to get there early though, because they're not numbered. So the gates open and you run for the bleachers. So we actually got the front row and we're sitting there and we're having a great time and it's humid as hell. And we made the mistake. We talk about drinking beers at a baseball game all the time. Well, we made a mistake. There was a margarita machine there and it was way hot. So we had to drink these things before they melted. So we're 2-3 things into these margaritas. Then we start drinking beers and we're feeling no pain. It's incredibly hot and humid. And we turn around to these people behind us, these guys, and there's like 4 of them together. And I mean, we had to come and go and pee about, I don't know, I was going to say 10 times. That's probably too much. We're probably within the first 4 innings. We probably left our seat 2 or 3 times and came back. And the guys behind us didn't move and they're sucking down beers. I mean, it's just like, they're downing beers left and right. So I turn around to one of the guys and I go, you guys haven't peed one time. Like what's going on? And the guy reaches his waistband of his jeans out and you see a giant adult diaper and they just pee in their pants. And I'm like, there's 4 of you guys and we'd hold your seats for you. Like, you don't have to pee in an adult diaper. And like, well, we don't want to miss any of the game. And I'm like, my God, man, I've never worn an adult diaper, but I'm just thinking like, I've had a kid before. And I mean, those things get heavy and that's a kid. Like that's a baby. And so an adult, I mean, you're looking at like some 30, 40-year-old guy and he's peeing in his pants again and again and again, or in his diaper. I don't know how much one of those holds, but number 2, when you get up from that thing, like that thing's got to weigh 10 pounds, maybe not that much. I might be, going a little overboard on that kind of a thing, but I mean, that's a lot. And then you're going to walk to the bathroom and dump that thing. And seriously, it's probably 80 to 85 degrees with 110% humidity. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And we're sitting in front of those guys. And so even if it wasn't, even like before, I didn't really smell anything. And then afterwards, I'm like, this is rank. Now, it might have been the air, but my God, it was terrible. I could not, like, there's no way. Like I will say, and you probably heard of this too. I've heard of people now, I understand it in a concert. Like you've come to a concert and you like certain songs and your favorite song, and you don't want to be like, oh my gosh, I got to go to the bathroom. And then they play your favorite song and you run out and you're like, oh my God. So I've heard of people actually doing that at a concert. But these guys were in, hot weather in Chicago, very humid weather in Chicago. And they're like, we don't want to miss an inning. I'm like, yeah, I can't remember who was in the lineup that day, but I think it was in the era of Sammy Sosa. And it's like, after Sammy Sosa hits, man, go to the bathroom. Like, you got to be kidding me. I'm not doing that for a baseball game. I don't know, maybe a World Series game or something. Probably still not then. Maybe a concert. I don't know, though. That's pretty disgusting, got to say. What's up, Brian D? Thank you for the contribution. Beautiful dog there. What's the dog's name? It looks like that's a yellow lab right there. Are you going to any A's games this year? I've had a philosophy. Thanks, Ryan D. I'm glad you brought that up since we're into the random stuff. Even though we did the Caboose, we're into the random stuff. That's a hard one for me because I probably will, Ryan D, only because my son will come back and he's a huge A's fan. And I have been to Sutter Health Park before, but I probably will just because of what I do for a living, to just say, okay, I went up there and here's what it was like. And I talked to some guys about it and those kind of things. Like, I probably will, but I have a real problem giving John Fisher any money. I really do. And what's my couple of coins to John Fisher? Absolutely nothing. But it's just kind of the thought of it. So I live in the East Bay. I've gone to A's games for a long time. My son's been an A's fan forever. We went to a lot of playoff games, especially when Bob Melvin was there, and a lot of people that work for the A's have a lot of respect for a lot of people. I'm a good friends with Chris Townsend, who I think is an amazing guy that I need to get on here just because we're friends. We probably wouldn't even talk anything about the A's, but since you asked, I probably will go up there just to say I've been up there and everything. But man, I got to go with you or something. You got to buy the ticket. And I'm not trying to be cheap. I'll buy your beers, but it's like, I just don't want to directly give John Fisher any money. Ugh, just because he's doing what he's doing. And like I said, is it going to make a difference whether I go up there or not? When you take a stand as a person, like, I will not do this. And it's like, if you like it, well, then just do it. So yeah, I'm a baseball junkie. I'd love to see what the stadium looks like. I like a lot of people within that organization. I don't wish them ill will, but John Fisher's just a bad dude. I mean, I'm not breaking any news here. Just I don't want to give him any money. Thanks, Ryan D. Appreciate the contribution. Are people getting into an adult diaper conversation now? Man. All right. Pine Needle says he'll buy the tickets. All right. That's it. No, you don't have to buy the beer, Pine. You don't have to buy the beer. I don't know why I separate the beer out from the ticket. It's just, I don't know. That's stupid of me. But yeah, I want to go up and look at it. I want to look at it and see what's going on up there. And like I said, I don't hate the A's. I mean, if anybody ever said I hated the A's, that couldn't be further from the truth. I went to tons of A's games. When I first moved here and worked for 95.7, I'm sure you know this. We carried the A's games, and they had me do, the story, right? In fact, maybe I'll pull it up tomorrow as part of the Saturday show at 10 o'clock. But I threw out 2 first pitches at A's games. I think you know the story. I did one Chad Bradford style where I tried to hit my hand on the sidearm thing, where I tried to hit my hand on the pitching mound because you probably remember Brandon Tierney back in the day. Hey, yo, what's up, San Francisco? He'd get, a New York guy. And amazingly enough, our program director at the time thought that would work. I was like, probably not. Yeah, I was at 95.7 Tacky when Aubrey Huff was there. That was a fun time. He was doing mornings and I was doing middays when he would show up, which was not very often. But yeah, I did a first pitch, and Brandon Tierney said he'd pay me $100 if I did it Chad Bradford style. So I did, and they were playing the Dodgers that day, and the ball falls out of my hand, and it goes right into the Dodgers dugout and sprays the Dodgers dugout, which wasn't the worst thing in the world. But so then Dick Callahan, the voice of the A's at the time, was like, said something like, "Oh, that's the worst pitch I've ever seen," and he kind of laughed, and then. So then I go up the next time, this is like a year later, and I'm not kidding, A's fans remembered and they were booing me. I'm walking to the mound, and I thought to myself, if I bring my son, and at the time, George was probably, he's 21 now, 10, 11, maybe 12, could be at tops. And so I brought him out there, and he's a huge A's fan, has A's gear head to toe. And I thought, I'm not doing this. I'm going to give him the ball. So we walk out together, and then he throws the first pitch. And he actually makes it to the catcher, and then I thought, well, people won't boo me if my son throws. They're going to boo a little kid. He has like this blonde, bright blonde, bushy hair, like, bowl cut kind of a thing. And I'm thinking, come on, they're not going to boo him. So they didn't boo my son. I'm just like, you can't boo him. They were booing me walking out there. And then I acted like I was going to throw it, and then I handed it to him, and he actually made it. I'm trying to think of the pitcher. It was number 40. He was a reliever back years ago. And anyway, that's it. It was unbelievable. So, yeah, that's a true story, man. I sprayed the Dodgers dugout, and then they booed me the next time. It was bad. It was unbelievable. If anybody knows Whitey Gleason, by the way, up in Sacramento, legend Whitey Gleason, Dick Callahan still said, even on my first pitch that sprayed the Dodgers dugout, he said, still better than Whitey. So you can tell Whitey I told you that story. John Lund's Sacramento tailgate spectacular. Maybe, yeah, that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll go out there, man. No, I will. I'll absolutely go up to an A's game. It's just like I said, I do regret this already that John Fisher kept me away. I didn't go to any A's games this year, not one. And it's the first time since I've lived in the Bay Area that I hadn't. And it was just, I'm not giving him money. He's an ass, and I don't want to give him any money. So great. And we've got this whole tangent of adult diapers. I apologize. Adult diapers. I shouldn't have done any of that. I should not have done any adult diaper talk. All right. That'll be a Friday edition of the show. Thank you. AJ put in $5 today. Get some coffee, John. Thanks to Daniel. He's the best. We were talking about the Warriors, Kings down the Rockets. That's 8-9. Doug Christie must be a wizard up there. It was all Mike Brown's fault. You're the man. You're going to do some mock drafts. Thank you. Don't. We will. We'll bring in Larry Kruger. We'll bring in Krug because him and I did drafts for years for KMBR from the stadium. Happy Friday. Looking forward to a weekend of football on the couch. I know everybody's going to do that. And by the way, I want to know who you like this weekend. And that's why we'll tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And maybe we'll just do an hour to test it out. But we will do an extra show tomorrow. Nathan's a YouTube member. Make sure you become a YouTube member. It's only $5 a month. Very simple. And I will make sure that it is well worth and more of that. We'll do live shows. We'll do members only releases, all that kind of stuff. We will do meetups. We'll do all that kind of stuff. So make sure it's nothing. And then, Ryan asked if we were going to go to any A's games today, which absolutely. I can't not go to an A's game. We're going to have to, because, it's just part of my job where it's like I got to go up there and see what's going on and how that thing's working out. And I'm sure everybody's going to complain. It's a minor league park, all that kind of stuff. My whole thing is, look, I just want to go up there. Let's have some fun, man. If it's good, if it's cool and it's a good time, I don't care. I mean, the players may care that it's in a minor league park, but look, it looks like, they got they got a pitcher, they got Rooker done. I mean, they don't normally spend money. Now they had to spend to a floor. Let's be honest. They got to spend to a floor. No, don't even see. I know what you're trying to do here. Hold on a second. This thing's moving fast. I got the right one. Baba Booey. Will the Niners select a kicker in the 25 draft? I'll make you a little bet. And as I say all the time, I am often wrong in my betting, on my prognostication. The Niners under John and Kyle will never take another kicker. 7th round, 6th round, 1st round, 9th round, doesn't matter. They will never, ever take another kicker. Because like I said, I saw the pain firsthand right after the pick, and they both came into the draft room, and John was laughing, and Kyle said he wanted a running back. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I'll show. Let's see, Tacky, where are you at? Dublin, Buffalo Wild Wings. You guys watching football there? That's not even far from me. I know exactly where that is. There used to be one right by me in San Ramon. They shut that one down. But yeah, we could have a unofficial meetup there, 3:30 on Sunday. Love wings, man. We did some great stuff. When we were at 95.7, we did a couple of Buffalo Wild Wing things. Clay Thompson was at one. And then we were carrying the Raiders. Darren McFadden and Marcel Reese showed up, and that was a good time. Oh, my God. John Kondo one year, the long snapper of the Raiders, who I'm trying to get on the show, by the way. He is such a good guy. He used to live right behind me, and we had such a good time. But he's an awesome guy. He got removed from the Buffalo Wild Wings. We'll just say that. It was so stupid. So we used to do these on 95.7 for an NFC championship games for big parties, and lots of listeners would come out. And one year, like I said, we had Clay Thompson come out, McFadden came out one year, and we had, it was just a really good time. But we were already overserved at that point, and Kondo thought it would be a good idea. I want to make sure I'm getting it in the right order, that we would do tequila shots followed by Jameson's. We were doing tequila shots followed by Jameson's. I was like, what are we doing? And we did like 3 rounds of those when we were already way overserved. And then crazy enough, like, I don't know, a half hour after those, one of the managers got into it with Kondo's wife, and it was like, you all need to be leaving now. Hours before, we're on the stage and we're having a great time. And they're like, yeah, it's time. It's time. It's time for you guys to go. Because they had like the regular restaurant, and then they had a bar area, and we're in the bar area. And yeah, that part was Kondo's fault, I will say. Although it's not like he was twisting my arm to do it. But yeah, it was tequila shots followed by Jameson's. I mean, back to back. This wasn't like, hey, let's have a tequila shot. 30 minutes later, we're going to do a Jameson's. This thing was fireball coming. And it was tequila fireball, or not fireball, tequila Jameson's, like one after the other. And it was like, we did like 3 rounds of those after we had been there all day. No. Not anymore. Gravedigger coming back next year hungry. Yeah, I wonder where he is going to sign, Todd. I like Gravedigger. In fact, Papa and I did the first interview he did after they signed him. We were on the air when it happened, and it was the first day of free agency. It was $80 million bucks. Boom. And it was like, wow. And that was, we've talked about it a million times. It was the Buckner mistake, Kinlaw mistake. And then they finally just said, we got to get somebody in there. I do wonder, I'm glad you brought that up, Todd. I do wonder if the 49ers will, because a little bit earlier, you can go back in the show if you're watching it later. We did kind of stay by the chalkboard today. So we did start with trade Curry, then we went into Brock's numbers because David Lombardi had put them up. And we'll get Lombardi on the show next week. But if Brock's number next year, let's just talk for next year. We don't even talk 5 years down the line. If Brock's number next year is anywhere close to what Lombardi's saying it is, as far as a cap hit is concerned, and it's $15.1 million, then they have an ability to re-sign Talanoa Afunga. They have the ability of Dre Greenlaw will play ball in a 1-year make-good contract. And they probably have the ability, I would look at the offensive line first, but if you wanted to tell me that you wanted to go interior defensive line, I'd be all right with that. If you wanted to go another edge rusher, I'd be okay with that. They have some holes to plug. It's not going to just be, hey, the 49ers get healthy next year and they're right back with the, top teams, with the Eagles, with the Lions, with the Packers, with whatever team you want to say. I don't know what's going to happen with the Vikings, but I'm not going to automatically say that. They need to get offensive and defensive line help, and it's all not going to come through the draft. That's just not logical. Some guys, like the Rams have done it, and Philly has got a lot of young players that have come through the draft and have really made a difference. But at some point, they're going to have to have both going on. A couple of free agents, not the highest paid free agents. I'm not going to delve into that. But there are some guys like he's under the radar, and then they come through, that kind of a thing. So if they're going to fix the trenches like you and I have talked about ad nauseum together, it's going to have to be both. So just to go back to what you said there, Todd, Gravedigger coming back next year hungry. John Lynch did leave the door open. There's a tendency, especially because Javon Hargrave is not from the West Coast. I would imagine he's from the South, and then he played in Pittsburgh, played in Philly. I wouldn't be surprised if he went back somewhere like that, because the reason why they obviously cut him, released him, whatever you want to call it, is that he was just making too much money. And a lot of times these guys are like, well, if you don't want me at that number, then I'm just going to go somewhere else. So we'll see. But yeah, they need interior D-line help. Thanks for the contribution, Todd. Really appreciate it. They need defensive line help. My God, man. I mean, just to a really high level. All right, that'll do it. We've almost gone 2.5 hours, and I like to keep it fresh. And if I do too much time, then you're like, oh my God, he's going on all these tangents. For the love of God, man. Let's see. I think that's it for today. If you didn't get on the board, or if you wanted to talk about some things, then tomorrow at 10 a.m., we're going to give it an experiment tomorrow and see. And again, I'm not saying that you have to show up or anything like that. See, this would be even worse, just to go on one more Frisco native. I was doing tequila and vodka shots. If you're doing vodka shots, it's got to be in a martini, right? Like, you weren't just doing warm vodka shots, were you? I mean, there's a lot of stuff where it's like, ooh, that is nasty. We've talked about schnapps before, and peach schnapps and peppermint schnapps and all that. Not for me. But warm vodka shots. I mean, it's amazing. You shake that in some ice, put a little olive juice in there, like we've talked about before, frozen martini glass, put a blue cheese olive in there. Now we're cooking with gas, but just regular vodka, like room temperature vodka. No, thanks. Can't do it. Don't want to do it. Not going to do it. Now, when I was a young person, it was like, you got a bottle of vodka over there and you don't, come on, we're in college or high school or something like that. It's like, yeah, take a plug off that. No problem. That's different. All right. So what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to do a 10 o'clock show. And if you show up, you show up. That'd be great. If you don't, you don't. I could go on a tangent right now, Tacky, because I don't do a lot of tequila anymore, although it's gotten a lot better. And again, tequila, like vodka, if you shake it cold, but most people don't, just take it. Drink, always throw it out there. So yeah, I'm not a huge tequila guy, but it's gotten better. Anyway, tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, we will be back, 10 o'clock Pacific time, and we'll see if we can do a little damage on that show. Let's see how that works out. If you missed any of the show today, just go back, be a subscriber, have your alerts on so you know that when we come on not only at 8 a.m. weekdays, 10 a.m. now on Saturday. See how that works out. We'll also come on breaking news. Anytime news breaks, we'll jump on, and we're going to do some stuff at night too. We're going to do more and more, especially in the second half of the season for the Warriors as we come down the stretch. And then once Giants season hits, not only am I going to go down to spring training, we'll do lots of stuff from spring training, but then on select Giants games, like for some of the better series, maybe like once during a series or something, we'll do that. So we'll do a lot more stuff at night as well. Yeah, tomorrow I think I'll probably be hitting some Baileys and coffee. I mean, I just think that's only logical. That makes a lot of sense to me, so we'll do that. But thanks to everybody for coming out. As always, I cannot thank you enough for making the show starting to be a success. So everything's really good, but it's all due to you guys because everybody comes out. We have a lot of fun in the chat room. Everybody stays cordial, which I absolutely love. We always have a great time with everything. So have a tremendous Friday night. Don't go too hard because you got to be here at 10 o'clock in the morning or not, whatever the case may be. But we'll try a 10 o'clock show, see how that works tomorrow. I will take God's day off on Sunday, and then we'll be back at it on Monday. So I got to get a guest tomorrow too. Maybe I'll see what Krug is up to, and we'll talk some draft or something like that. But anyway, regardless of all of that, have an amazing day. Thanks for watching us on X. Thanks for watching on Instagram. Please subscribe on YouTube and have a wonderful Friday night. Until tomorrow. Adios.
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at johnlundunleashed.com. johnlundunleashed.com.
Goodbye!